How's it going, everybody? Oakland 93 in the place to be, aka Malcolm. Yeah. Welcome to episode 8 of the Stephen Malcolm Show. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. Hope everybody, so since our last show has been doing okay, I hope no problems have amounted. And if any of them did, they were taken care of because, we got to get through life on a positive way, on a positive route. It is March 27th, 2015. We are, for wrestling fans out there, we are we are 2 days away from the biggest show of them all, WrestleMania 31, which would be, in San Francisco at the new Levi Stadium. And, me and Steve later in the show, we'll talk about WrestleMania 31 and everything. Also for sports fans, March Madness is going on. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Furious 7 came out today, or it came out last week. But I know if it came out last week or if it came out this Friday, I know that a lot of people has a lot of plans for Friday for watching Furious 7. See Paul Walker's last Fast movie, unfortunately. We lost Paul Walker last year. Yeah, it was last year. Late last year. Like almost before, no, not last year. 2013. Almost before 2014 even hit. We lost Paul Walker. But on a positive note, Steve will be joining, me in a short while. Some topics, besides WrestleMania 31, topics for tonight's show will be allow Steve to share a big accomplishment that he has, accomplished, even though that's being redundant. Also, Jesse Eisenberg as Luthor, that has been a big topic. Just added, and I've even thought about putting it on the list before, but I thought maybe I'll just segue into it anyway. But also just recently, thoughts on, Ryan Reynolds and the Deadpool suit, which is cool. Also, Mortal Kombat X, which is coming out, I believe, in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It's coming out pretty sure. It's gonna come out pretty shortly. And then in terms of wrestling, Brock staying with the WWE, Rey Mysterio, WrestleMania 31, and favorite WrestleMania matches. So let me push this back a little bit. So that is basically, as I fix this camera, that's a little better. That's basically what is up for discussion for this Stephen Malcolm show. And without further ado, I think it's about time that I get Steve, and I can't find Steve. What the hell? I can't find. Steve. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, here he is. Here's Steve. All right, Steve should be coming in any moment. Also, today in history, or do something today in history, or also something that's big today. I'd like to say happy birthday to two female singers out there. One of them being Fergie, who turned 40 today and does not look 40, because nowadays people who are 40 don't look 40, and if you're Chuck Norris, people who are in their 70s do not look like they're in their 70s, and if you're people like William Shatner, who turned 84, I believe, not too long ago, does not look like they're in their 80s. So William Shatner looked like he just turned 60, but that's a good thing. And also the other person who's celebrating a birthday today is Mariah Carey, who I believe 71, so 2, 3, 4, who turned 44. So Mariah Carey and Fergie just turning 40, and Mariah Carey almost hitting her mid-40s. and none of them look their age and have aged very well. So yeah, so happy birthday to Fergie, who is staying Fergalicious, and happy birthday to Mariah Carey, who unfortunately, if you look up on YouTube, you'll find a lot of very diva-ish moments. Me and my bro, my Vernon kid Chris, we witnessed some diva-ish moments from Mariah Carey. And also, for those that know, once again, yeah, I congratulate still to my bro and my Vernon kid for reaching 4,000 subscribers. And look, there he is. 4,000 subscribers, people. 4,000. Now, where in the world is Steve? I sent this guy an invite. Where is he? Steve. Steve, hurry up, man. You can't do it. Like, where is this guy? Well, because the first topic, has to deal with Steve, so might as well just wait for him to come. Steve, hurry up, man. Anytime now. Anytime. Well, while waiting for Steve, let me see if any comments. Let's see if there's any comments. No comments. No comments. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's going on? Oh, okay. So no comments yet. I guess nobody else is watching the show live at the moment. But hopefully some people will chime in and leave their comments in the comment section below. I think of something that could be talked about while waiting for Steve. No, wait a minute. All right. Well, I guess I don't need to talk about it because here comes Stevie Steve. It's like a now loading screen, waiting for Steve to come up. It's like now loading. Like where is this guy? It's like now loading. Now loading. Now loading. I just see his profile picture. He says he's having minor problems now. Well, I guess I was watching. I showed my brother this. I think it was the other day, but apparently there was a college basketball player on Wisconsin before their game against North Carolina. They had post game interview, pre game interview, like on the conference booth and everything, and they had the mics on. The mics were still on, and he was looking at the sonographer, who happened to be a female, and he looked to his teammates, and he was like, God, she's beautiful. And hey, look, like you heard that? I heard that. His reaction was just priceless. Like, oh no. It was an innocent, it was something innocent, but it was just, you gotta remember, those microphones can pick up a lot of things. So, and just like Steve has finally picked up being here. So
yeah, who finally actually was having minor problems because apparently I think my laptop's dying.
yeah, maybe it has to do with you wearing that Punisher shirt.
Yeah, apparently my laptop, debugs because it doesn't like my vigilante justice.
I don't like vigilante justice, and it's bringing up justice because And it was another, because on that same thing on AOL, and they talked about the cosplayer, the microphone picking up him complimenting the sonographer for being beautiful and him being embarrassed that she heard it. They also showed, recently, the Robert Durst, the criminal that HBO did the thing on called The Jinx, and when he went away. And he didn't realize that he still had a microphone on, and he goes, what did I do? Pause. I killed them all, of course. It's like, hey, he just revealed himself. He just revealed that he killed them all, and now his great attorney, because that's the main job of an attorney, in my math class, my Professor Torres always says, well, a main job of an attorney is not to really say that a person, even if they know that the person that they are defending is guilty, their job is to create doubt. And that's what his attorney's doing, saying he maybe could have been reciting a movie or something. So he was reciting some movie.
I doubt there's any movie, Malcolm, where that says that. I don't think that he was watching Pulp Fiction in his hotel room.
So what was he reciting? He maybe was just thinking of something. Yeah, he was thinking about that. Yeah, I just
that's like a goofball move. It's like, man, I thought O.J. Simpson messed up, but this dude, no, he took it a step further.
Exactly. I'm like,
no, and then I saw a headline on a tabloid, Malcolm, where now apparently they're saying, oh yeah, O.J. had an accomplice. I'm like, oh my God.
No, it's just like how people have blogs. People have blogs about somehow trying to prove that the Holocaust never happened.
And that apparently Elvis isn't dead.
I mean, we got some funny things. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, in one of my classes, the professor, he asked us these quiz questions. He was asking us who fought in the Civil War? If you know the answer, raise your hand. Of course, I know who fought in the Civil War and everything. And not that many other people, but a lot of my classmates, some reason I guess forgot, I guess it'd been so long. But that's not really the funny thing. The funny thing is that there was a point to, he even asked us about, when did America gain its independence, and who did we gain our independence from, and who's the vice president and everything. There was a point to it, because then he showed us a video. It was a female, an interviewer. She was at Texas Tech, the Texas Tech College, home of the Red Raiders. And she went around asking people the same questions. And one of the funniest parts has to be when she asked, who fought in the Civil War? And there goes this girl. The one in 1965. I'm like, 1965. I'm like, this ain't the Civil.
No, you're
Civil Rights Movement.
This is how you know that people are dumb, Malcolm, because I had an old lady at the store today. Right as I had clocked out, I'm passing by, going to the break room after I had clocked out. My shift was over, and one guy's like, oh, well, why didn't you get these sales items? Because she was buying the generic brands or whatever or something like that. All I know is it's one of those. It's just like Jimmy Fallon reads off those random conversations in public. As I'm walking by, I just hear this woman go, "I don't buy the on sale brands. They overcharge me." I'm like, if they're on sale, that means that they have a lower price and they're being sold in bulk. How do you get overcharged for something that's on sale?
I mean, it's like, what's going on here? I mean, when I heard the 1960s, I'm thinking, she confusing the Civil Rights Movement? 1965. But then here's the kicker. Then the interviewer, after asking all those questions, she changes the topic. Instead of history, I guess it's around the time when the show was running, but what show is Snooki on? Oh, Jersey Shore, ding, Jersey Shore, ding, Jersey Shore, ding, ding. And then who is Brad Pitt currently married to? Angelina Jolie, ding, Angelina Jolie, ding, ding. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. And I was like, it's the sad truth. Like, this is the sad truth that, yeah, more people know pop culture more religiously than some things in history that you should know. 1965. I just went 1965. Like, hey, and for the first time ever, Serena, the Princess of Geeks, is contributing to the Stephen Malcolm Show. Hey, Serena, how it's going? And also, it's that boy. It's Kate Cleese, Mr. Lone Wolf, Mr. Lone Wolf 96. It says, I'm just happy to be here. Look, Kyle, you're like a regular here. So that should be more of Serena's comment. You know, Serena just saying, hey, guys. That should be more of her comment instead of yours, Kyle. I'm just happy to be here.
Oh, Lord.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I've noticed a common theme every time we do the Steve Malcolm show. I'm always, A, late to the show, and B, I'm always having computer problems as a result of being late.
Yeah, just look at the first episode. You know, you came in, and then, God damn it, and you had to leave out. I mean, I don't get it. But see, now that you're here, Steve, because the first topic of this show does heavily include you, and it's one of your recent accomplishments, and that is, it has nothing to do with the Green Lantern, people. That's Darkest Night. So, Steve, if you will, briefly tell everybody about Darkest Night.
Yeah, guys, I believe it or not, as of Wednesday this week, I actually finally had a comic book that I helped actually write get released. And even, and what was even more crazy about it was within the first day of sales, the launch, we sold at least like 10 copies, plus one of our custom T-shirts, because we also have custom T-shirts that we're selling as well. And that was something that it's kind of sad because it's only because I only wrote the first issue of Darkest Night, first ever full comic issue that I've ever written in my life. But it's one of those things to where I started to really understand, Malcolm, what people who were either trying to break into the comic book industry or people that were pros, were warning me about. That it's not as easy as it seemed, and I kind of actually towards the end of Darkest Night's script, I actually kind of like broke down, and I just told J.W. Sims, the artist that I worked with and also the creator of this book. I'm like, dude, it's like I think I finally learned that I'm not quite ready to write full comic issues yet, but like all things in life, Malcolm, you grow and you learn. But for me, it's fun. In terms of the story element, the story follows Elric Stormborn, who is a cop in what's known as Hales Point in the Pit. Basically, the best way to describe the Pit is that it's post-apocalyptic Pittsburgh. Think like the movie Mad Max, and Hales Point being a city in the Pit. It's very kind of like semi-futuristic, so think kind of along the lines of like Blade Runner. It's kind of like if you mixed Mad Max and Blade Runner together, which, it sounds a little weird on paper, but when you actually see it kind of play out, it makes sense. But Elric, the first couple of panels of the story, he's in his apartment, he's sleeping, and this mysterious woman from his past named Miko wakes him up and basically trying to, before she can basically tell him what's going on, they are interrupted by a group of mercenaries. It's simply called the Mercs. And you find out throughout this entire issue that basically it's all one giant flashback issue explaining the events of what happened like a couple of weeks prior. Because the thing about Elric is that he doesn't know his past. He only has recent memories, say a couple of weeks, even like a month ago. So what the first couple of issues of this series is going to be is it's going to be kind of you going on this journey with him, especially into present day, and figuring out and kind of filling in the gaps of, well, okay, how did this happen like this, and how did that happen like that, and you find out that the deputy mayor of Hell's Point, Marcos Prometheus, is essentially like Wilson Fisk. He's kind of like this, kingpin of crime around Hell's Point, and he's trying to make a lot of back dealings, as all crime bosses do, but also trying to shift the table so he's taking out his competitors. I mean, I could talk a lot about the story, but as any good not only writer but publisher, etc. will do, it's like I'm gonna kind of like stop right there and give you guys at least a little bit of a tidbit, a little bit of a piece, kind of, with everything that I just described. But I can certainly tell you this: the main meat of it is that yes, it is sci-fi, but there's a lot of supernatural stuff in there. You're going to be dealing with vampires, you're going to be dealing with werewolves, and to keep with the sci-fi theme, you're also going to have mechs, which is something that's a little bit unique, kind of, to Darkest Night series. Is you're dealing with mechs, you're dealing with werewolves, and you're dealing with vampires. I'm going to try to attempt to cohere JW into doing maybe have one section for like a cult or like zombies or something, but I have a feeling that's probably not going to work out. But it's but certainly it was a very fun book to work on. It was a very unique book. I hope to actually get back into the series, Malcolm, at some point when I get comfortable enough with writing, which I've improved vastly. The first issue is out now, guys. We are selling it currently through Indie Planet. If you want to try to find the link, find us on Facebook. Just type in Hooligan Alley Comics in the Facebook search page and find our panel, and find our Facebook page. I'm getting all tongue-tied because I'm trying to remember how to promote this. But yeah, on Indie Planet, we are selling our printed copies are $4.99. Our digital copies, because we're also doing digital, is $1.99. But if you contact us through our Facebook page, our Hooligan Alley Comics Facebook page, for $5 plus $2 shipping, and maybe extra for those of you who are overseas and international, you get a sketch cover version of issue 1, and JW will sketch any character that you want. It doesn't have to be our characters. So if you want Spider-Man, he'll sketch Spider-Man. If you want Spawn, he'll do Spawn. No real characters off the table in terms of it's pretty much he will customly sketch this sketch cover issue however you want. And I don't know how it's gonna exactly work, but I imagine probably he's probably going to put his John Hancock on the issues, and I think how we're going to try to circumvent it, because for me, I think it'll work, Malcolm, is have him send it to me, I autograph it, and then I try to send it to you guys when you purchase the printed copy, and then that way you have the book. You have the book fully autographed. You got both of our autographs, and so on and so forth. But I would probably order the book now because actually the first issue, as of right now on this first printing, Malcolm, is actually a collector's edition, because we recently found out Thursday that when the book came back, there were 10 lettering or grammar errors that were overlooked and weren't proofread. Oh. So basically now we got goose in the book. So now me and JW are just sitting there joking on all the little comic forums, and places that we connect with people on. Like it's like buy the issue before second printing. It's like we got a collector's edition. We got stuff with like messed up lettering and words jumbled backwards and crap like that.
We got the director's cut.
Yeah, you essentially got the director's cut before it got proofreaded and pretty much like everything set straight. And and it's like, man, JW was so disappointed. He was almost on the verge of tears. Meanwhile I'm just looking at it and I'm like, it's not the worst thing to happen. I'm like, hey, and I asked him, I said, hey, you think our stock is gonna rise, with all these like collector's editions with all these mistakes. But yeah, guys, it's. And also we have a GoFundMe, guys. We got a GoFundMe going right now, not only for Darkest Night, but just for Hooligan Alley in general. We're trying to raise funds, guys, because a lot of this is being funded out of JW's pocket, and also there's very minimal stuff for myself and the other writers and artists to really work with. We can't unfortunately do a Kickstarter at this point because there is minimal funds, and a lot of it is being invested and pretty much taken out of JW's pocket. So we're kind of scrounging by with minimal resources. So we have a GoFundMe that you can also try to find and so on and so forth. We're trying and all of these funds are not going to go towards JW paying rent or to pay like my writer's fee or any of the other writers' fees. No, these funds will go directly into the company's slush fund, and it's going to go towards books, art supplies for JW and all the other artists, even like money for us to actually use for the tables when we go to set up at conventions. Essentially, it's going to be like company funds. So it's all there to help produce more books for you guys, maybe second printings if we can. And then etc. and so forth. It's like I'm trying to double back in my head here, Malcolm, and make sure. Okay, did I cover everything? And it's like I think I pretty much covered everything. So yeah, it's a very slow process, but it's also a very rewarding one. It's like, okay, making comics is not as easy as I thought. It's not as easy as it appears. There's a lot of work that goes into it behind the scenes that I think a lot of comic fans don't necessarily realize, both on the art end of it and on the writing end of it, because there's a lot of stuff, guys, that if you actually go online, you look at comic scripts and everything, it's what you see on the page is pales in comparison to actually doing that stuff. But it doesn't deter me. It doesn't really like bother me. It's like, okay, I know my comfort level now as a writer, and now it's like, okay, like my baby, the thing that I worked on is now out there for people to see. And hopefully, in the next month or two, we'll be trying to push our second and third titles out there. But myself or JW or somebody else will talk about that. But for right now, we're focusing on Darkest Night since that's our release title, our kickoff title. But yeah, I mean, we're slowly making sales, Malcolm. We're trying to push people to to really like actually give this book a chance and get it out there. Try to get it into as many hands or get it spread through word of mouth as we can. People to actually, like also help us with promotional stuff, like take some of the weight off. But yeah, and it's very exciting, and yes, it is a major achievement, Malcolm. It's an even bigger achievement, dare I say, than when I proved everybody wrong and graduated high school. Because I mean, how often in life can you say that something that you loved and are very passionate about that you get to actually do it, even if it's just one time? It's like you can't beat that. You can't beat that kind of experience.
Yeah, just like Serena just put, congrats, Steve, and the same thing for me. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. Not bad for a guy who's his own biggest critic.
And trust me, I critique myself a lot. Even when I'm looking over my scripts, I still critique myself, but I'm getting to a level, and you know, a lot of you who are watching this, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you guys don't know, a lot of personal things that, you know, say like Malcolm and Chris and a few other people know that, you know, they, especially after Baltimore Comic Con, you know, they kind of noticed that there was like a shift kind of in, you know, my train of thought, you know, because I was very depressed, I was very mopey, and I was, you know, I was very bitter. I still am very bitter, but I'm not like bitter like I was before. You know, there's a little bit more motivation, you know, in my voice and in my actions.
Well, you always said that, I mean, after you went to the Baltimore Comic Con, that was something that you thought, yeah, you realized that you first thought would be something good, but then after it was over, you realized it's something that you actually really needed.
You know, going to Baltimore there and going to Central PA Comic Con, even, you know, I got the best of both worlds. Baltimore was, you know, experiencing a big convention. Central PA, which I went to fairly recently, that was something that I also kind of needed because it was not only more personal as a convention, but it was not a large con. It was very small, but you know, at the same time, being a fledgling creator or aspiring creator, you know, I needed that perspective too to see, you know, big and small, see in a sense the baby steps of, okay, this is where I'm going to be working from.
Baby steps.
You know, so it's like that's you, you know, but and you know, but I'm not gonna lie. When you know, I was very crushed. You know, the first time I was working on Darkest Night #1, and you know, I towards the end, I basically quit. You know, I tapped out. I'm like, you know, I can't work. You know, from this script, it's like I'm trying too hard to make it perfect. And in all honesty, I was uncomfortable about it at first because JW was like, well, I'm still going to give you credit because you helped write the majority of the script. I felt uncomfortable about that, Malcolm, because I'm one of those like honor bound guys. It's like I stayed towards the end, and I didn't. So I kind of felt like I was a tad bit undeserving of that credit. But JW did actually say something that, you know, I try to keep in mind, but it's also something that, you know, maybe I kind of needed to hear, whether it was, you know, real or not. And I I think it was actually real personally. Was that the fact that for a guy who has never written a comic in his life, has no script writing experience, nothing. I mean, I've come from writing fan fiction, you know, for Marvel Universe 2K14, etc., and so forth, you know, Meridian Park. You know, I did a lot of fan writing. You're talking about a guy going from prose writing, you know, like actually like, you know, novel type writing to comic to actual scripting, like I'm doing, you know, a screenplay, you know, a theater play, you know, comic, you know, and comic scripts follow that exact same format. So, you know, going to that was, you know, a very difficult transition, but it was also the mental transition of, okay, I'm being given an opportunity. Let's see, you know, how far I can go before, you know, I finally just, you know, crack. And when I cracked, you know, I did feel very defeated. But the funny thing is that people beyond me, people that were more experienced writers that were looking for compensation, or even newbie writers like me, you know, they couldn't do Darkest Night #1, or they didn't get very far, or JW didn't like, you know, the feel of how they did stuff. So I essentially was the longest person to actually stay in there in terms of getting, you know, going through the drafts and the scripts and stuff. But also, even though he had to, you know, water down and, you know, whittle down a lot of what I had done to make the story flow better, he was actually quite impressed, you know, all things considered. And he's like, honestly, I kind of want to keep you on board. He suggested an anthology series that should be coming out pretty soon as like a crossover title to our second title, Fall from Grace, that I wrote quite a few stories for, you know, to try to help build myself back up to that level of writing a full comic issue, like getting comfortable with, you know, actually writing, you know, legit comic scripts. And I think probably what I'm going to do, since, you know, since getting all my tax refunds and stuff like that, so I'm going to take some of that money, and I think I'm going to look at stuff like comics experience and courses that actually have like comic script writing, and maybe try to use those, and try and try to get better, and yeah, try to get better, try to maybe take an online writing course. But that's a big maybe. I'm pretty stubborn headed. I like doing things on my own, Malcolm. That's pretty much experience that even you can agree with. I tend to, even when I have an opportunity in front of me, I'm like, nope, just go right around it and do it by myself. I've always been like that because while it is good, I've always chosen the hard way because it's the most rewarding. Which it doesn't make sense. It makes me sound like I'm out of my mind, but I'm sure most of you guys watching this can understand why I put it in that perspective.
No,
But
it makes sense because even our professor, Mr. Torian, says that taking a shortcut is not always the safest route.
and plus, to me, it's more rewarding. I mean, yes, I mean, yes, taking a script writing course does not, mean that I'm, tapping out. I mean, I'd love to, but I think it's one of those. If I feel like doing it, I will do it. But for right now, I'm in the beginning thralls of comic writing. I kind of want to stay my ground right now and actually learn as much as I can. And if I feel like I'm not retaining the knowledge, or I feel like there's a finer point or a finer edge to actually improve my craft, then maybe I'll look into classes. But for right now, it's just like, okay, it's like I want to learn this as much as I can on my own. Like in a sense, self-teach myself and see how far I get. And some people that are actually self-taught, have done great things just as much as people that have taken, quite a few, writing courses or taking art classes, etc. and so forth. Case in point, one of the guys I met at Central PA, artist Ken Hunt. Ken Hunt is actually a self-taught artist. He actually just for fun when he started out, he was, for his own personal portfolio and stuff, he was recreating, iconic, covers of, Batman, Spider-Man, etc. And there wasn't any tracing. He didn't go over the image, with a fine-tooth comb. No, he drew them all from scratch, exactly as he saw them, and it's dumbfounding how he could almost similarly replicate those. So there are some people that can do it.
Some people just have talent. Some people do.
Exactly.
Hey,
If you got the talent.
it's Nathan Banks. What's up, Nathan? Right, we could get some comments here. Then we got Kyle. Do we get to have free peanuts while watching the show? Well, how could we give you peanuts if we're not even in the same area code? Ever thought about that, Kyle? Also, Kyle, sounds like an interesting premise, Steve. Might check out the first issue whenever I get paid. Well, that's the spirit.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of funny because when JW pitched that to me, Malcolm, no joke, I was like, okay, it's like, I like the futuristic, Blade Runner, Mad Max concept. I'm like, but werewolves, vampires, and mechs. And I'm like, the vampires and the werewolves fit, but I'm like, where's the mechs? And he goes, well, we're in a futuristic setting, so it's like, it's not like, flying cars future, but it's like, it's almost kind of like Judge Dredd future. Like, it's not like magical hover cars, but, it's, advanced technology,
Yeah, like
at the same time. I guess you can say,
like Judge Dredd, Demolition Man, because Demolition Man, the cars were in hoverboard, but you can tell that technology had advanced.
yeah, exactly. Like stuff where it was advanced technology, but it wasn't, like Jetsons technology, and I use air quotes when I say that.
Yeah, because
It was plausible that this could be in the future.
well, when I look at the cover art, at first I thought it was set back like in the Dark Ages or something. Cause I'm looking at the character and he almost looked like a Victorian, somebody from the Victorian age.
That is kind of funny because when I look at, and I feel sorry for not remembering Greg's last name, but when you look at Greg's cover art, because Greg was the guy who did our actual cover for issue 1. Yeah, it's like I looked at the way that Greg shot that, and I started kind of laughing a little bit, not in a bad way, but and maybe it's just because the game had recently come out, or I was excited for it, but it reminded me a lot of like the Order 1886. Like it just had that vibe to it.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I love the cover. The cover screams very much like Victorian or like 80s action movie kind of vibe. It's like I said, that Blade Runner, Mad Max kind of vibe. But the thing about the mechs, guys, is that the mechs are not, they're not like Transformers. They're not sentient. Anybody, all the anime fans, in the chat and whatnot. If you ever heard of like the show Appleseed, that's kind of the way the mechs in Darkest Night are gonna work. They work very much like the mechs in Appleseed. Like they are kind of partly helpers, but they are more remote controlled and whatnot and what have you.
yeah.
So that's kind of how the mech part of it's gonna work. But either which way, and I can tell you guys right now, because I always say this as a disclaimer. Darkest Night is a dark series. It is adults only, so if you're thinking about showing your baby brother, baby sister, don't, because there will be nudity, there will be gore, and it is, it is very adult and very dark.
Don't do it. You know what? That's a good segue into the dark and everything, because that brings on to the next topic. Because look, now that it has been brought out, revealed to the public, the first shot of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. And yes, from that first image, I did not get a sense of smug, arrogant, so-called for the people, almost like politician or businessman. No, what I got was
you know what I got when I looked at that picture. All I kept thinking about was, man, did they confuse Lex Luthor with his character from frickin' the Facebook movie? Because it looks like the guy from the Facebook movie contracted cancer and is going through chemo.
Yeah, I still have yet to see. I did not see Social Network. I know that's where Jesse Eisenberg, he really got big, because he played, now I'm forgetting the creator of Facebook's name. But yeah, when I looked at him, like, he looks more like a cold-hearted serial killer. I mean, and
it's like Ted Bundy, the later years.
Instantly, Chris was right next to me, and I said to him, he looks more like Zaz. And then later on in our Facebook post, I believe Serena, you was watching this, so you know what post I'm talking about, where I think it was you, Lamar, and everybody was talking about it, and most everybody in that conversation was saying the same thing. He looks like Zaz. I'm like, yeah, he looks more like Zaz in this picture than Luthor, because I get the sense of a serial killer. I mean, he just looks emotionless. He's just, I'm like, oh no. Like, oh no. But still, so that's the first shot of Jesse Eisenberg. I know in terms of him being Luthor, a lot of people are still on the fence about it.
I'm very much against it.
Yeah, I you know what? I'm not saying I'm surprised that he was never. I bet you he was never. Well, I can't. Maybe somebody did, but for majority of people, I bet you he was never a thought to play Luthor. Like, now people think he was a suggestion like, you know, Jesse Eisenberg can play a good Luthor, but you never know, you know, because oh my God, come on, what's his name? Who voiced the Flash in the Justice League? Because he played Chris.
See, Michael Rosenbaum, I would have taken.
Thank you. See, I had no type of, you know, information on Michael, you know, Mr. Rosenberg, from the get-go. When I saw Smallville, I'm about Smallville, you know, back in the day. It's funny saying that, back in the day.
Yeah, his Luthor was great. His Luthor was like soft, but also you got the sense that he was menacing.
Yeah, I mean, so I had no idea of who Michael Rosenberg was, but I liked his Luthor portrayal.
I like the way that he played his Luthor, because his Luthor wasn't, you know, the Clancy Brown 90s Superman where it's like, yeah, he was more, you know, politician and this and that, but it's more like his Luthor, you know, was menacing, very cold and calculating, which is something that Lex is, but it was also the fact that his Luthor, you genuinely kind of felt for his Luthor. You know, like you understood his motivations for why he hated Clark, as opposed to comic book Lex, who he was just an outright bastard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't forget at one point in the comics he stole, what did he steal, like cakes or something?
Oh my God, yeah! In the Silver Age, him and the Joker like went to a bakery and like stole pies, and then no, and it got even worse apparently when frickin', you know, yeah, Jeff Loeb, when he was doing his, you know, his version of World's Finest, and apparently, you know, he became a kryptonite roid junkie, and he apparently, you know, was so devoid of mental capacity that he kisses Amanda Waller and gets diabetes.
Yeah, you taste like diabetes. That's what I always say when I see somebody eat something that's really sugary. You know, that tastes like diabetes, doesn't it? And no offense to any diabetic. Hey, oh yeah, Serena actually commented on the 1965 thing. 1965, what person is this twit? I don't know who the twit was, Serena, but I know that when the question was asked about who fought in the Civil War, her reply was the one fought in 1965. Like 1965. It's just like how my English professor, Professor De Matteo, was telling me how when he was in his night class in the city, he asked, "Does anybody know, you know, about the Holocaust?" And nobody in the class raised their hand. But finally, one brave student raised their hand. And De Matteo was like, I'm thinking, oh yes, we got somebody here. And what does the students reply? It was that thing that the Jews did. Then said, I felt like walking out of the classroom, but I was like, it's not worth it. I'm getting paid for this. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I can't say that I blame him.
I agreed with them. I'm like, hey, I ain't gonna walk out too. That's the thing the Jews did. The thing. The thing. The thing. That's the thing the Jews did. It's like, didn't even say that's the thing the Jews did, right? No, that was actually a convincing answer. That's the thing the Jews did. Like, oh, good Lord. I mean, have we
See,
really?
it's just like Tony and I are talking about. Some of these people need to actually go find the nearest tree and apologize to it for how much oxygen they took from it.
Well, it's fine because you're bringing up Demeter. He always says when you're writing, when you're writing an essay, he'll say Demeter brainwashing word number one. Interesting. If you are not interesting, if you're not interesting, you do not matter to me. You are wasting my oxygen. This is the same guy. This is the same guy almost who almost got killed. Who almost got his head cut off by one of the. I don't know. He just told. So he said how after I think after one of his night class, the class that he teaches at night, he's in the city. Uh, Everybody knows Madison Square Garden. Almost like across street from Madison Square Garden, there is a famous hotel called Hotel Pennsylvania. And he's crossing the street, and he he sees like sparks. No. He sees cops. He sees cops running past him, and like Dan said, I was in full New Yorker mode, meaning that everything that's happening around him, he does not give a crap about. You know the common thing they say about you see in movies or they say about New Yorkers how in New York City nobody gives a crap about anything. Somebody can get beat up in the middle of the street, people walk right past it. That's what he's saying. He was in that type of mode, and he said I should have got an idea that something was wrong when the cops was running past me. Turns out he finds out that okay, it was very windy that night. Turns out that he's like, like the stops, like a stoplight, a street light. You got the covers that kind of like that oval, half oval like cover over the light. He's like, apparently one of those got blown off and hit the ground. So if I was a second earlier, I would have got my head cut off. And so I'm like, look at you, like look at that, you almost got killed, and you didn't even realize that thing. Tink, he said, I should have realized when I saw the sparks of the ground. It's like so. I can see like a typical movie. He's like, I'm just walking, whistling. Woo, next thing you know, chink. Hey, oh well. Oh well. It's like I'm like, Professor, you could have died. Like your head, your head could have been like freaking like on the street, and then we'll get a call, get a message from our school. Yeah, sadly, your professor, died, and how it happened? He got decapitated. What? We were like, what? And we like,
No, oh God, why am I very sadistically and very messed uply just thinking his head getting blown away by the wind, and all I'm hearing is just rolling.
rolling. And I bet Dave will find that freaking Dave Mateo is like he always said, I am not a good person. And, I told you that from the get-go. I am not a good person. And I'm like, you're a cynic. I am a cynic. I'm like, but all in all, Dave Mateo, he's one of my favorite, teacher professors in my school. I mean, I actually play him on the app game Trivia Correct. So he's a real cool guy. It's funny when he brings up movie references and some people don't even know, but I know. And I remember one time, or even like stuff in the past, like music. Like one time he was like my last semester, he was like giving advice on an essay, and then he's like, you got to find what it is. Next thing you know, he walked away, and I was like, what is it? Next time he stopped. How do you know about what is it? I'm like, because I grew up with.
Trust me, I scare the crap out of my coworkers, and I scare the crap out of some of my customers because I know stuff I shouldn't know. Like I referenced Mr. Magu to one of my, to one of the old associates that works for us, which I got some stories about him that I'll get into later, because they're hysterical. But I got Trish who works in the pharmacy, and Trish looked over to me and she goes, "You're too young to know who Mr. Magoo is."
Yeah, I mean,
and I started. I think the best part was I had a customer, dude who actually grew up in the '70s. He got freaked out because I started just jokingly, rhyming, like Rudy Ray Moore used to do in like Dolomite and in his stand-up performances, and he goes, "Man, how old are you?" I'm like 27. He goes, 27? He goes, and you know what dolomite is? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, and I said, yeah, it's just like, referenced, what was his name? Jim Kelly, it's like a reference Jim Kelly, and I started talking about Three the Hard Way, Hot Potato, all these old blaxploitation films, and the dude's looking at me like he has two options, Malcolm. Either run for his life, or literally sit here and talk and try to wrap his brain around how a 27-year-old autistic white man knows about blaxploitation films from the 70s.
Now this kind of reminds me a little bit before I get on to answering Nathan Banks' question before I move on to the next side. Reminds me of one of the recent episodes of Blackish that I watched, and and you had Anthony Anderson, and his character name is Dre, and he was trying to teach his son about. He was talking, but he brought up, the "I have a dream" speech, and then his best friend, who is Caucasian, knew about the "I have a dream" in like full detail, and after you got in there and said, it's embarrassing. How that white boy know about the I have a dream speech more than my own son? I'm like, oh.
You know what the funny part is? I wanted to watch that show not because of Anthony Anderson, but just more because of Lawrence Fishburne, just because that would make me laugh.
Lawrence Fishburne is funny on that show. It's always funny. He always sitting down.
It's like, man, why do you and Mama keep getting back together? Well, to be honest, son, your mama's a freak.
He's always sitting down, reading his newspapers, always, you son. You need to like he's always doing that. Always has his head down looking up, and then, son, you need to do this. But Nathan Banks' question is, we move on from Lawrence Fishburne to, what do you guys think about Tyrese Gibson possibly playing Jon Stewart as the Green Lantern? It's not confirmed, but Tyrese did say he went to Warner Brothers and had a meeting with them. To be honest, I would not mind having Tyrese playing Steel. Yeah, it really seems as though that the more that as time goes by, the more confirmed, the more real it seems that Tyrese could be playing Jon Stewart, because he's the only person they keep running. They don't say this person is in talks to playing Jon Stewart or this actor. Lately, the past weeks or so, it's just been Tyrese, who, if Professor David he would say, if you have Tyrese, it's not a good actor. He's always trying to act all fake ghetto and stuff, and especially in Fast and the Furious 2. It doesn't work. And that's what what about Vin Diesel? Vin Diesel, he doesn't act. He just plays Vin Diesel. He's just Vin Diesel. So, but to answer your question, Nathan, what do I think about Tyrese possibly playing Jon Stewart? Look, I like Tyrese, but no.
Nah, like, honestly, I'd say, no, not, what's his name? What was his name? Crap. I'm trying to think of that one, not Omar Epps, or maybe it was Omar Epps. No, what was it? Crap, I can't think of his name right now.
You remember what you saw him in?
I'm trying to think of the last movie that I've seen him in, but I'm blanking out right now.
I mean, look, I just don't see, Tyrese as Jon Stewart. As Steel,
Nah.
nah.
I mean, suit-wise, yeah. Character-wise, maybe, but just overall, nah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's like trying to cast, Ludacris as the Joker and Dr. Dre as, future Lex Luthor.
Well, you know, remember there was one time rumors of Eddie Murphy playing the Riddler. I can just see it. Batman, that you? That you trying to solve my riddle? Like all I can see is freaking Eddie Murphy as Riddler. He would just play, you know, freaking oh God, help me out, Chris. What was and oh, Buddy Love. That's what I could just see him just playing a smarter version of Buddy Love. That's what I would see him playing, a smarter version of Buddy Love. And also it seems like in the comment section that it seems like Serena and Kyle are taking care of the troll that we have here. Mr. Miguel Munoz, who is, well, he's just responding like a troll, but, you know, because he had some things to say about you, Steve, but, you know, it doesn't even need to be mentioned.
You know, people are gonna hate. I don't really worry about stuff like that hardly anymore.
That's right. You gotta.
Yeah, exactly. Like there was a time where, you know, I'd want to, you know, get all up in that ass, but it's like you know, it's whatever. It's not just because of the fact that, you know, hey, you know, I do kind of got to be on my best behavior, especially if I want to build a fan base, but it's also the fact, Malcolm, that, you know, I'm just getting older and I'm just giving less of a shit.
That's right. I mean,
because you know what? If people don't like me, they're not gonna like me. You know, and to quote, you know, good old HBK when, you know, Vince McMahon made him take that urine test. It's better to be pissed on than pissed off.
I mean, I rather, like I was saying, you're rather going to be, I'd rather not be liked for, I'd rather be, what's the saying? I'd rather be disliked for just being a good person than being disliked for being a jerk. Because most time in my life, all people that have not liked me, they've come up with the most dumbest reason not to like me. Because you're short. No, okay. Okay. But yeah.
They don't got a reason to not like you. And it's kind of ironic coming from me because there's a few people that I like and it's for the dumbest reasons.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something that's not dumb. And what's not dumb is Mortal Kombat X, which, like I said, will be coming out very shortly, April 14th, which is on a Tuesday. So we are right now, okay, let me count this. 1, 2, we are 3 weeks away from the grand, you know, release of Mortal Kombat X. Man,
sadly, I will probably end up game flying that because I probably won't be able to afford to buy the, you know, the freaking regular edition. But that's okay because I got a lot of games to hold me over till then.
Yeah, and you know that I can say the same thing, but I can say that it might take a while. It might take a while until I get a chance to play Mortal Kombat, because of the fact that as of right now, me and Chris don't have any of the eighth generation systems. Yeah, I found out that this generation is the 8th in video game consoles.
You know, but I will admit though, a lot of what they're doing with Mortal Kombat X, and somebody brought it up, you know, at work, and it made a lot of sense, Malcolm. This seems like it's probably going to be the most story-driven MK.
Right. I mean,
you know, and of course, you know that
we're starting to. Sorry to cut you off. We're starting to see that what was in Mortal Kombat 2011 or Mortal Kombat 9 was not just a one and done thing, the story mode. And the reason why I say that is because I happen to find out that the Super Smash Bros., the latest one that came out for the Wii U and for 3DS, because that's actually the title, Super Smash Bros. For the Wii and or 3DS. It's not like Brawl or Melee. But I found out that there's no story mode in the new Super Smash Bros. I thought they were going to continue that because Super Smash Bros. Brawl, you had Subspace Emissary. You had that story mode, which had some badass cutscenes. If I can show one right now, because I kind of don't want to risk, some Nintendo coming, hey, some copyright.
Yeah, since they're starting to do the whole copyright cut down thing on YouTube now.
Right. That had some badass cutscenes. But yeah, I found out that for Super Smash Bros., the newest one, there's no more story mode. But with Mortal Kombat X, it's now, you can now definitely tell that what was in Mortal Kombat 2011, that was not a one and done thing. Even though I figured that there wasn't going to be one, they were going to continue with the story. But yeah,
it kind of sounds like a soft reboot.
Mortal Kombat 2011 was basically rebooting the series instead of no, in a way, not can I say reboot? So, no, more like restarting and a slash reboot. Yeah, almost like refreshing because it did acknowledge what came before it. Going through Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, and now this one's going to do a little bit of 4, but then added some twist to it. So in a way, it was like almost like a reboot slash retcon. But I still wonder. I always think of this. If I had to ask Ed Boon one question about Mortal Kombat 11, why did you have to kill all the Earthrealm fighters in one single file line? Why?
Yeah, that's the one part that always kills me. You had so many people get killed. We finally got a badass version of Curtis Stryker. He gets killed off. Cabal gets killed off. Katana gets killed off. Jax gets his cyber arms only to get his neck broken. Nightwolf has to sacrifice himself. I'm just like, jeez.
Sub-Zero becoming Cyber was all for nothing.
Yeah, he got punched in the face twice, which made no sense. And he just died from it.
He got punched in the face twice, and I guess died from that. It's like, but he got punched in the face. He's got a freaking helmet on. Jade got her stomach ripped out. Yeah, Kitana got beaten to death. Yeah, and it all left up to freaking Nightwolf to sacrifice himself. So I would always ask Ed Boon, I understood. You want to make Sindel come across as a real threat. I get that. But did you have to do it at the expense of everybody's lives? And I'm telling you, it was almost like a get in line if you want to get killed by Sindel. Oh, yeah, okay, get in line. You don't have to pay for anything except for your life. Okay.
It's like she might as well. Smoke was made human. Smoke was actually human, and he got killed.
Right. Smoke, instead of Smoke becoming Cyber, Sub-Zero took his spot. So Smoke stayed human because when we first saw Smoke in Mortal Kombat 2, he just looked like one of the ninjas. And then in Mortal Kombat 3 and Mortal Kombat Trilogy, he looked like Cyrax and Sector. But and then it's now official that most everybody figured with Liu Kang, but it also seems that Kung Lao in story mode are going to be bad guys. If anybody has saw the new Shaolin Monk trailer, or was it Shaolin Family?
Yeah, it was just called Shaolin
trailer. Yeah,
And I love that they tie it back to MK9 because you got, undead Liu Kang. When he confronts Raiden, he goes, "Oh, having any more visions, Raiden, of the future." And I was like, okay, they're really tying this all together.
Yeah, because now they are more than ever
Because now they're enemies.
Yeah, they're more than not at first. Chris was like with Kung Lao. It even sounded like he was like, yeah, yeah. What he
Yeah,
said?
Kung Lao with like his monotone voice. I
Yeah,
serve Earth Realm.
yeah. I wish it not. And at first, Chris was like, did he just say something in Chinese? I mean, then seeing we saw Kung Lao's one of his fatalities, but then seeing Liu Kang's, and I can already say Liu Kang has always been the most genteel fatalities of all the Mortal Kombat, but no, that changes with this one. When I saw that at first, I'm like, okay, he ripped out the jug, but then I'm like, what the hell did he just rip out there? I'm like, oh, yo, he ripped out the tongue.
No, like literally he ripped out the person's jugular, then he punched their teeth through the back of their head. There's a giant hole where their mouth is.
Oh shoot!
I'm like, oh shit.
Like, oh shoot, man. No, like if you look closely with Liu Kang, when his fatality, when he punches through, you can see the hole in the back of the person's head. I'm like, oh man. I mean, he's not.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, the fatalities and even the X-rays in this game are even more brutal than they were in MK9.
I've always said it. Those X-rays are fatalities in themselves. Some of them, like for instance, freaking Cassie Cage's first breaks your jaw with a bell clap with the gun, with the butt of the gun, and then 2 shots straight through. As I'm like, that person's dead right there.
Yeah, case in point, Kenshi's son. What does he do? Okay, he like splits somebody's like rib cage or something. Then what happens after he kicks him? He fires 2 arrows. They go straight into the person's freaking eyes. Then afterwards he stabs him in the chest with his bow, slams him down on the ground, and cracks their entire rib cage.
Yeah, before he gives him basically a cerebral, skull fracture with that hammer piece, and then even reptiles freaking by with his hands, rips your whole jaw, breaks your jaw, rips it to break it, and then it's like, yo. I mean, some of the X-rays in the Mortal Kombat 2011, some of them I'm like, okay, this person have a broken bone, but they could still be living. Like Scorpions. I've always said I was surprised that Scorpion's X-ray was kind of the least vicious. So I'm expecting Scorpion to have a real vicious.
Liu Kang's was the one that it should have killed him because he hits them in the frickin' Adam's apple and you see it actually collapse. Then he chops them on the neck and you see their spine shatter and go downwards. I'm like, how does that not kill or cripple them?
He basically paralyzed you, Liu Kang, with that chop right down your neck. He basically paralyzing them. I'm like, oh. So, I mean, but it wouldn't be Mortal Kombat without any of those things.
But you know what? Speaking of X-rays, we gotta ask the mystical question. How the hell can Stryker do his X-ray on Kenshi if he's blind?
Yeah, spreader. It's like, but Kenshi's blind.
And speaking of Kenshi, just something that I noticed was that when you look at Kenshi now, he's got 2 katanas as opposed to 1, so it makes me wonder, did he find a brother or sister katana to his psychic katana? And 2, man, I know the character is Asian, but why does he have a lumberjack beard?
Who, Kenshi?
Yeah, he's got a lumberjack beard. I thought he was going to hand like Johnny a thing of like brawny paper towels.
Oh man, I gotta look at Kenshi again. I didn't see. Every time I saw him, it was when I first saw Kenshi in the game.
It's like a blink and you miss it thing.
Yeah, when I first saw him in the game, when they first in the Cage Family trailer.
That's where I saw it at.
Okay, when he's next to him, I didn't see no beard. Okay, then
full beard. Go sideburn, full beard.
Do they show him twice? Okay, because I thought the first one they showed him was like in the past, like maybe during like the Deadly Alliance age. But so yeah, I gotta see that again. So yeah, Kenshi with it.
No, but we talk about fatalities and stuff. Man, Johnny Cage's fatality to me is probably the dumbest. Punches a hole through both of his opponents, rips him in half, and then pulls a Jack Nicholson from The Shining. He's like, "Here's Johnny."
Here's Johnny. I mean, when I saw that, I said to myself, no, well, yeah, it is creative, but then I'm thinking, it's almost like in the back of my mind, I always had a feeling they would do that for Johnny. I'm just like, wow, this kind of came a little bit later than I thought it would happen. I'm like, it's Johnny Cage. Here's Johnny. Johnny Cage has a big ego, and it would seem, it's very comical. It maybe seem fitting for him to have something that pays homage to
I
the.
mean, it's just like in MK9 when he used his trophy to slam somebody's head down into their chest.
I mean,
He
Mortal
used it as like
Kombat.
a cod piece.
In Mortal Kombat 3, Liu Kang dropped the arcade on you. He dropped the arcade. Somehow, Liu Kang had mystical arcade powers. He can just summon arcade, and one just crashes down. And somehow, Mortal Kombat 3, Jax can grow up to Godzilla-like height and stomp on you. And
but hey, at least it's not like when you're doing the babalities and the thing Sub-Zero, like he freaking pees his pants and it freezes.
Yeah, I've yet to look at all the
They were doing the animalities, and apparently Scorpion turned into a freaking penguin.
Yes, in Mortal Kombat, because Scorpion was not in the first Mortal Kombat 3, and yeah, and that was like to the chagrin of a lot of fans of Mortal Kombat were a little bit upset that a lot of their fans were out of Mortal Kombat 3. Mortal Kombat 3 had a lot of new people, just like Mortal Kombat 2 did. But around that time, people like Scorpion and them, gained a real popularity. So then that's when Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 came, and Scorpion was in that, and then Mortal Kombat Trilogy. And yeah, his animality was that he changed to a penguin instead of a freaking scorpion. Well, I think either Kano or Shiva changed into a scorpion instead. And then finally in Mortal Kombat 4, Scorpion, his second fatality was he changed into a scorpion. He'll pinch you, and then with his claws, his pinchers, and then he'll sting you right through the chest and then rip your whole body apart. I'm like, and then Reptile didn't even change to a reptile for his animality. He changed as a chimpanzee and chased you off the screen. It's like, what is that? And not only did Scorpion change to a penguin, he changed to a penguin that had a bomb in, I think, in the Jack in the Box or something. It's like, what is that? I mean, what is that? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, still till this day, Liu Kang, to me, will still stand as the most sensible animal because he had it before it was even an animality in Mortal Kombat 2. That was his first that he had when they added 2 fatalities. Of course, he had his ever crappy butterfly kick, uppercut, and then they added the dragon. And then I guess that inspired, hey, how about we do that for everybody? And lo and behold, came Ant-Man where Jax turned into a lion, which it kind of went with Jax's character. What did Stryker turn into? All right, Stryker turned into a red T-Rex. It's like, what does a cop and a T-Rex got to do with anything? I mean, the animalities, I'm not the biggest fan of animalities. I mean, I know they're adding the brutalities back, which were in, was in Mortal Kombat Trilogy. And basically the brutality is just this one long-ass combo that in the end kills you. And now in this one, the final blow is very special. It used to be, it would just be all your combos into one, and then one uppercut, and boom, they'll just explode. So, for Mortal Kombat X, I look forward to it.
The thing that I do like about NetherRealm with Mortal Kombat X is that they took a page out of when they did Injustice, and the fact that now the backgrounds can be used as weapons.
Yeah.
Like they showed a stage between like ship to ship, and you can grab the corpses off of the pikes and actually hit them with people. The one that I laughed at was Ed Boon was showing the markets, the Outworld Market Street, and he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "This old woman, he goes, her name is Beatrice." He goes, "Beatrice dies about like 3 times throughout the entire fight because you throw her at people."
You know, we also, you know, I think Chris was first introduced to the character, um, in the comics, right? Oh, wait, hold up. Uh-oh. Phone call.
But yeah, guys, especially the guest characters. The guest characters, I think, are going to be great for Mortal Kombat X. But I'll wait for Malcolm to temporarily come back and stuff with that. But yeah, guys, Mortal Kombat X is going to be great, and I love the fact that it's going to be the new generation of fighters. So you're going to have Kenshi's son, you're going to have Cassie Cage, which is Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade's daughter. I know that they're going to have, I think, like Jacqueline Briggs, who is Jax's daughter.
You got Jax's daughter, you got Jax's daughter in the game. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of the next generation, and I hope none of the next generation dies anyway. I really hope that. I really hope that's not the case. Oh, but yeah, I just saw a new character, one of the newest characters. I think his last name is Black, and I think Chris was first introduced to him, and Chris is reading the comic, the Mortal Kombat X comics, which is, I guess, almost like a prelude to the game. And basically,
that Khan guy, that Aztecian looking guy that we've seen. Yeah, this kind of interferes, I think, with the whole like DLC thing with Goro, unless like it's past Goro, because in the Mortal Kombat X comics, from what I was spoiled to, apparently this Khan guy fought Goro, cut off all his arms, and left him for dead.
Yeah, he did. You know, Chris showed me it. You know, Kato Khan. Yeah, when he fought Goro, yeah, he cut off his arm, all of his arms, and Goro just no. And Van Goro basically pleaded for him to kill him, and Khan,
That's it.
yeah, he just left him humble. Yeah, he just humbled him. So, but that you was first introduced to the gunslinger in the comic.
Yeah,
What's his name?
Aaron Black is.
Aaron
those
Black.
characters were introduced in the
prequel. Yeah. So basically, Mortal Kombat 4. This is the first Mortal Kombat. Yeah, Mortal Kombat has its first gunslinger.
It's supposed to be an homage.
Yeah.
To Clint Eastwood and stuff.
Yeah, he's like homage to Clint Eastwood, and he's got a rifle, and got his revolvers, and his X-ray is one of the most coolest. I'm trying to get the setup to how you activate it. He throws those spikes on the ground, and I think he throws that outworld bomb on you, and then he spins around, takes aim, shoots, and the gun is just the camera is just a close up on the bullet. And if you look closely, I guess is that whoever you're fighting, it will have their name engraved in the bullet, and bam! It goes into your ankle and travels up. It bounces off, I think, your rib. Then I think it pierces through your heart, and then I think it goes through your brain. I'm like, yeah, somehow ricochets off of everything. I'm like, oh, and which is pretty believable, because yeah, you can get shot like in the freaking leg, and it maybe will travel somewhere else, and that's how it will kill you. So it's like, I was like, whoa, that was pretty cool. So I
think the best part is, and Ed Boon said, is that they want to try to add more guest characters this year. And man, on Friday the 13th, boy, I don't care if I was late to the party or not, found out, yeah, we had Freddy and MK9. This year we're getting Jason.
Yeah, in terms of guest characters in Mortal Kombat, it seems like it's gonna be a trend now. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Look, I have not watched mostly any of the Friday the 13th. I know who Jason is. Almost the point, how can you not? But I'm And same thing for Freddy. You know, I was not really too excited about Jason. I'm like, okay, Jason's in it. Now with the Predator, I'm like, yeah, because this is somebody that, yeah, fans were, even I think in the first one was in 2011 acting. Now you put Predator. But personally, I'm not the biggest fan of guest characters. Okay, Tanya's gonna, but she's not a guest character. But yeah, I'm not the biggest. I'm not the biggest fan of guest characters being in Mortal Kombat or no, well, just in some fighting game, because you know me and Chris was watching this thing on, it was on IGN, right? Yeah, and they were talking about, and the guy was saying how he feels that when Mortal Kombat, you know, he can understand, you know, fans getting excited for guest characters, but he felt like, one guy felt that it kind of showed a lack of confidence in the part of Mortal Kombat, like they're using these characters that basically further sell the game instead of just using their original characters to sell. And you know, I can see that argument, because for PS3 it was just Kratos, who I found out that basically they watered down. It's like some fatalities were watered down if it was done on Kratos, that kind of not make Kratos look really vulnerable. I found that out. So in terms of guest character, I get the idea. You know, it's another way of the crossover and it attracts more people. But you know, they're in it. They're in it. I know, I bet you some more content. You know, you could have saved that for another Mortal Kombat character instead of, you know, blank or blank. Like I said, now we got Jason. What's next? Chucky. We're gonna go with.
Well, let's see. They got Jason. They got the Predator. Todd McFarlane has actually told Ed Boon that if he wants to, he can use Spawn. Which, to me, Spawn makes a lot more sense than Kratos or even Jason or the Predator. Because I'm like, okay, you know.
Spawn makes sense, and in a sense, the Predator makes sense, because, as one person put it, you know, with more coming, all these dimensions, you know, you got Outworld, you got NetherRealm, you got blah blah blah. Let's say the Predator just got caught in one of those, and he's there. Right? Okay, but you know, I'm just not, you know, I'm not too big a fan of. I'm not saying I hate it. I'm just like, okay, this guest character. Like, for when Soul Calibur 2 came out, and for every console, Xbox, PlayStation 2, and GameCube, there was a guest character for each game. Now, at the time, yeah, you know, I was stoked to hear, oh man, Link is in the Nintendo GameCube version, and Heihachi's in the PlayStation 2
version.
And for Xbox, it was Spawn. You know, at the time, yeah, as a kid, I was like, whoa, that's pretty interesting. But you know, I think, yeah, and once again, it's you know, we got DLC, and like I always say, in this time of age, it's they're either gonna sell DLC product or pre-order stuff. It's either one. So this is on DLC, or this is on, you know, if you pre-order the game, you will get, well, like with Goro. You pre-order the game, you play as Goro. Like,
it'll later become DLC anyway.
Right. It's all about the money. So, you know,
and plus, to me, it's, you know, it's not like Ed Boon and them aren't gonna like put, you know, like classic MK characters. Case in point, you know, Tanya and Tremor, they're gonna be in the game, and they're classic MK characters.
Well, you know, to be quite honest, Tremor never really got a chance to really get to become a classic. He was kind of rejected. You know, not that many people know about Tremor. I didn't until when Chris said, yeah, there was a rejected character. He was actually supposed to be.
He was supposed to be.
Yeah. Wasn't he supposed to be in Mortal Kombat 3?
He was supposed to be Mortal Kombat 3, and then he made it.
And that Special Forces game.
Special Forces.
So, yeah, this is like his real.
He's a Black Dragon member.
Yeah, this is like his real official debut. So,
I'll tell you one character that probably should not be in Mortal Kombat X, and just because it made me laugh, because I'm like, how the hell is this, you know, gonna work, you know, physics-wise, even looking at him? But it's like, freaking, you know, Tor and whatever that little, you know, kid's name is. You know, I'm looking at that, I'm like, so essentially, you're playing two characters at once.
Oh, well, this is not the first time Mortal Kombat's done that. If you remember Mortal Kombat Deception, You played as Noob and Smoke. It was Noob Smoke. You fought as both of them. You can switch. You can switch. You can play as either Noob in the fight. You can play as Noob or you can play as Smoke. Noob Smoke. You know, I'm like Noob Smoke. Like, oh, play as both of them. So yeah, this is like the second time they've done this. But you know, we're back with with guest characters. I mean, now I think the most expected in terms of like fighting games, it has to be with Super Smash Bros. I think Super Smash Bros. Because that was like something like, okay, well, we've always wanted to see, a game made with Mario, Sonic in the same game. And now a new one, it's Mario, it's Sonic, it's Mega Man, it's Pac-Man. I had these dreams when I first played Super Smash Bros. Melee, when they had the April Fool's joke that freaking Tails and Sonic were in the game, and that's trying to be April Fool's joke. I was like, just imagine if Sonic, Mega Man, when they were in this game.
I think what was funny was it was the one before this latest one with Mega Man and all them where they had like Solid Snake in it. I'm like, what does Snake have to do with Super Smash Brothers?
And yeah, and Brawl, Konami, yeah, they had Snake, which was a big shock. I remember E3, that was the big shocker. Like the big reveal. I'm like, Snake? I'm like, what? I'm like, whoa, okay. I'm like, okay. But then it's like, okay. I never thought I would know a Snake, but he's in the game. But the funny thing is, story mode, and something that Chris did not like, is that in the story mode, they really made the Snake being in a box. Like, that's how he always hid. I'm like, nigga, Chris, he doesn't use that box that much. Like, in the box. Oh, wait, hold on. Some comments. Mr. Lone Wolf 96 Kyle. I think Gibson just wants to be John Stewart because the Fast and the Furious franchise is probably over. At least that's what I'm assuming. After the 7th one since Paul Walker died, he probably just wants money from being Green Lantern. I doubt there's any passion behind him one in a row. Besides, no secret that superhero movies have been the most popular thing in theaters for a very long time. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. Man, Kyle, that really makes you really made Tyrese out to be a real, like, greedy person. Like, man, oh, yo. That's almost like Steve's alley, but man, Kyle, you really kind of just burned Tyrese. Like, man, you bring up.
He didn't just burn him; he crucified and then burnt him.
Exactly.
Jeez,
I mean,
Kyle, are we gonna have to get you like a cloak, a Grand Wizard, hat and everything?
yeah, I mean, man, Kyle, you just,
God,
man.
even I wouldn't go that far, and I'm an asshole.
I'm like, man. I mean, you make Tyrese. He's all for the money, Like, there's maybe some truth to somebody wanted to be a superhero because they see superhero movies are where it's at, but man, that whole
But let's not forget my other big beef, Malcolm, which is why are these old farts now deciding to do action movies before their careers end?
And more importantly, it's with the old farts that have never really done action movies, and now all of a sudden they're in one. I mean,
exactly. Like, Jeff Bridges, wanting to be the son of the seventh son.
Yeah, you are the seventh son of the seventh son. What?
It's like, man, what accent are you trying to emulate?
No, that's funny. Well, that was disgusting. What does that kill? Cowardice. Cowardice.
No, I love the part in like the one trailer he's just sharpening his blade and the guy's like coming out after he just got thrown in the lake. He goes, "You do not die so easily, do you?" I'm like, oh my god, he sounded like Tom Hardy's Bane.
No, and then when he's on his face If you see a witch, kill it. It's like, get out of my face. It's like that's like having Forrest Whitaker in his Street Kings moment in your face, all sweaty and stuff. No, yeah, it's our money, so let's take it. You got, I will be cheap. I will be cheap. It's like, hey, man, get out of my face. I mean, yeah,
I think the messed up part is that Forrest Whitaker's like crooked eye goes straight for like a second, and it just freaks you out.
Don't get. I was like, wait, did that thing just go straight? Oh no! Oh, wait, we got some comments. Serena, how do you feel about Lou and Kung being bad? See, that's the first I've ever heard somebody just put Lou and Kung. It's almost like Cheech and Chong. Lou and Kung being bad. I expected Liu Kang to be bad in the next. I actually expect him to be the main villain instead of being with Shinnok. You know, it looks like in a way a little bit controlled, but then again, I might think Liu Kang might come out of control, and we come to find out, no, it was not him being controlled. No, that was just in his intentions. That, yeah, he's after Raiden. So I expect Liu Kang. I expect him to be they're going to be like the twist. He was the main villain. He's back. And he wants Raiden because the god of blunder did not know his own strength.
But also, he did visions of the future, which, in Liu Kang's mind led to everybody getting killed.
Yeah, I mean, with Kung Lao, it was Kung Lao's own, bravado. Yeah, did. And then, I'm like, oh, they just killed Kung Lao like that? Also, Serena, question: is that a new Sub-Zero or what? I believe that is a new Sub-Zero because let's face it, it's always been said that when we found out in Mortal Kombat Deception when Noob Saibot came back, we found out that Noob was the original Sub-Zero, the Sub-Zero from 1 and 2, or I think just the first one. Yeah, because Scorpion killed Sub-Zero in the first game. So that was the first brother. Then for Mortal Kombat 2 and 3, one with the scar, in 3 you saw the scar, that was the brother, who, and thanks to Mortal Kombat 2011, got turned into Cyber Sub-Zero and died. And don't forget, Noob Saibot, I think he was the only villain besides Shao Kahn that died. So yeah, the original Sub-Zeros are all dead, so this has to be a new Sub-Zero who, for some odd reason...
Well, and also it's the fact that the Sub-Zero mantle is, a legacy thing, too.
Right, it's a legacy. So, well, yeah, that's always been said. It's a legacy, the Grand Master. So, but I was going to say, for some odd reason, Sub-Zero looks like Kano. I mean, they almost look like twins. He's got the beard.
And speaking of Kano, that's probably the one character upgrade that's most interesting to me, is that now he's a bit of a cyborg.
He's even more of a cyborg. More cyborg than he got. First, he was just, an homage to Terminator with the eye, because, and her whole rebel army. As he said, her whole...
I know, it's like literally you could go back to those trailers and you can just laugh at the overacting in those moments.
Yeah,
I just love that scene. It's like Sub-Zero. Will you will you listen? It's almost like no. And then you got Kenshi's son. Well, then maybe beating maybe fighting you will.
Yeah. That Sub-Zero. My father always talked highly of you. Yeah, your talking was always your father's. They say no. Was always your. What they tell you talking was always your father's option. Yeah, next cause you can Kunjin. Then how about pummeling? How about pummeling? So I was like, yeah, we can see his character. And I'm like, yeah. And me and Chris are like, man, this Sub-Zero is a real jerk. He's a real jerk. Like, you're surrounded. What will you do? It's like, hey man, what will you do? Like,
Yeah,
man,
no. You know, it's funny. I looked at Sub-Zero and I kept thinking to myself, what's this guy, Ra's al Ghul now?
no. I mean, no, but we brought up, freaking Kano's with with his overacting. He had overacting moments in 2011. Like my favorite was when you play as Cabal, and Cabal waking up, and then Cabal is kind of upset, and then there comes Kano. Kano get offset with him, trying to justify everything. Well, you here, ain't you? I'm like, wait, what did you just say? Well, you here, ain't you? I'm like, yes, he's here.
No, but let's not forget the common theme throughout 2011, and apparently it's probably not even going to be brought up in MKX, but the fact that Baraka, Shiva, and Reptile and them were the jobbers of that entire game,
Yeah,
always getting beat up.
it really makes me wonder if anybody is going to take up that role in the story mode of Mortal Kombat X as yet. People that you constantly fight and are like easy pickings. Because Mortal Kombat 2011. I can't think about how many times.
But let's not forget about of course Deadpoolzilla getting mad over the fact of how does Stryker,
No,
who's a regular cop, beat both Kentaro and
hey,
Goro at the same time.
Tyler's question. When Tyler, he wasn't necessarily upset. He was just like in disbelief. I mean, Tyler's thing about Howard Stryker is that he just the story. It's now canon that he meets Goro and Kentaro at the same time. Because even though you fight them one by one, but let's say in story that he fought them at the same time. It's like it's like that's a real.
But wait, but let's not forget before Cabal got burnt. It led to that, very humorous like dialogue that you and I love so much between him and Stryker. Molina shows up and he
Yeah.
just sits there. He just sits there and he goes, "Oh, who do you think? Friend or foe? Foe.
No,
Dressed like that? Definitely foe."
Bo. That's funny when they look down and you just see Reptile climbing up at them. I'm like, what?
Yeah, Reptile was climbing like Robert Patrick's Liquid Terminator in T2.
Yeah, it's like, what the? Like, Reptile's that? It's like, Reptile's that you?
And the funny part is that even Reptile, when he was close, they still missed every shot.
Yeah. It's like, how do you do that? It's like, just how do you do that?
No, and I love before Cabal even does anything, he just gets burnt by Kentaro and.
No, the funny thing is when when it leads up to Cabal getting burnt, it's not even like something happens where like it's a lead. No, Kentaro just shows up out of nowhere, and they just turn around, bro. I'm like, oh, Cabal just got burnt. It's like at least he didn't stand there for a good.
No,
Like,
I know, but but I look back at that cutscene and I laugh just because of Raiden apparently thinking he's Superman. He flies through Mutaro and breaks a bridge.
yeah, he kills Matar. Matar even really get a lot. He really got the bridge dropped on him. Like,
And I love that they're carrying the stretcher, with them on there, and it's not even like a regular stretcher. It looks like one of those cartoon stretchers.
oh, wait a minute. Speaking of stretchers, you remember that scene from that old show or movie with when the irony, when they have to make a stretcher when when the stretcher's already there for them?
Oh yeah, that clip that I was showing you of them. It's like, oh my god, this guy, he broke his arm. He goes, we need wood and we need string or leather. And I'm like, oh my god, they got a kite that they can make into a stretcher.
It's like it's right there. Oh, uh, more questions from Serena is killing it, in the comment section. She took care of the troll, and everything, and now some more questions. Who's your favorite MK character? For the longest, if I'm playing a game, the first character I'm always playing as is Sub-Zero. Always. He's always the first character I'm playing. No, except for, and I think in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, I first played as Johnny Cage. But Mortal Kombat Trilogy, I always trust Sub-Zero. I can at least get far with Sub-Zero. Well, then when it gets to Motaro. Let me tell you something, Serena. You ever play Mortal Kombat Trilogy, the old Mortal Kombat? Freaking Motaro and Shao Kahn, they would make you rage quit. I never really rage quit, but man, one of my good friends, when he had Mortal Kombat 3 when they brought it out for the Game Boy, I think the Advance or whatever.
I almost rage quit, 2011.
He got so tired of Motaro, and that he threw the cartridge against the wall and it didn't break. But yeah, when I hear people like you, Steve, and others say they rage quit against 2011 Shao Kahn, I'm not gonna lie, he can get annoying, but compared to original Shao Kahn 2011 is not that bad because there's a simple. I beat the hell out of with Johnny Cage. All I did just kept doing jab combos.
2011, he was a pain in the ass.
Because
of course, yeah. I remember, you and Kyle just sitting there mocking me, laughing, because every time I'm fighting Noob Saibot, I'm getting pile drivered every 3 seconds.
Pile driving me.
Yeah, it's like, stop pile driving me.
And no, this was not a sex movie either.
But yeah, there was. I'd say for me, whenever I play any MK game, even the original on like Super Nintendo / arcade, it's like for me, I've always liked Sub-Zero. I am a Sub-Zero fan. I like Scorpion. I do like Johnny Cage. I'm one of the few that likes Johnny. But for me, I'd say my absolute favorites to me, the top 2 actually for me are Kung Lao and Raiden. I've always liked those 2 characters, and people always ask me too. They're like, why Kung Lao? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, I don't know why. It's like it's just something about Kung Lao and the fact that he does like the whole odd job thing, where his razor brimmed hat, can actually be used as a weapon. I'm like, there's just something kind of cool about that. He's a Shaolin monk, with like a little bit of flair.
I mean, you look at Kung Lao. I mean, you just. The iconic image of always Kung Lao is, him standing there with his hat a little bit tilted. So, yeah, you see the brim of his hat, and you maybe see a little bit of his mouth and everything. That's like the iconic image of Kung Lao. When you first see it, like, whoa, who's that? Who's that? And then you see what he can do with the hat. It's like, oh, man, that's pretty cool. I mean, and the same thing for Raiden. You look at Raiden, when they first see, the eyes and everything. Hey, man, that's pretty cool. That's one thing I've always said about one thing that's really said about Mortal Kombat, most of all the characters have real stopping power. I mean, when you first see them, like, whoa, okay, that's something out there, Let's face it. At first, Scorpion Sub-Zero, they were basically leftovers because they wanted 7 characters, so they just said, hey, let's go make a yellow ninja and a blue ninja. And now, yeah, once they see Scorpion Sub-Zero, oh, you're talking about Mortal Kombat, right? I mean, so there's a lot of character in Mortal Kombat, and that's not to say that.
Yeah, and sadly there are some characters, Malcolm, that most people don't actually know. Like when I actually finally figured out who Kenshi was, and I was reading his backstory, and I saw the character, I'm like, this guy's actually kind of cool. It's like he's a ninja who psychically, is linked to a blade.
I loved playing. When Kenshi made his debut in Deadly Alliance, I loved playing with Kenshi. Instantly, I was a Kenshi fan. I loved his combos, his combos with his sword, the combos that led into his sword, and his telekinesis powers. So yeah, instantly, I became a Kenshi fan. But so yeah, there's plenty of characters, Mortal Kombat. I mean, and there's also some really obscure and back like Meat. And mocap, yeah.
So, and of course, there's Rai Shabo or however you pronounce his name.
I mean, Boy Rai Chow.
I can never pronounce his name correctly.
Who trained Liu Kang, if you believe it or not.
And that guy with fart attacks.
I
is
mean,
actually the guy who trained Liu Kang.
and Kung Lao. I'm like, really? Him? I mean, so wait a minute. Let's see if there's any more. Oh, wait. Wait a minute. All right, Serena again. Who would you want as a guest in MK? Um, if there was to be if I wanted a guest character in MK besides the Predator, um, I'm trying to think of go to what with DC since Warner Brothers they've already worked together that would kind of be a little bit common. Um, I mean, hell, if if Capcom could work together with NetherRealm, I wouldn't mind Wesker or Dante to be in Mortal Kombat, or heck, if Team Ninja, I think Ryu Hayabusa could do well in the Mortal Kombat universe. He'd kick some serious ass.
I was actually going to say Strider. Strider is one of them that I can think of.
Strider.
But I think to me,
Having character.
and unfortunately, they're two separate game franchises. But I think if you wanted to do a cool crossover thing, I would say a guest character I would like to see is actually Fagor from Killer Instinct.
Man, Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat. I don't know how well the new Killer Instinct. I was even thinking about it today. So I was like, I don't know how that did, because I didn't understand the marketing tool of you start off with only a handful amount of characters and the rest you have to wait for DLC. I was like, how does that really get people to buy the game? Like, you only gonna have like what, one or two characters when you start off the game?
Yeah, you start off with Jago and like Saberwolf. I'm like, really?
Yeah, and then the rest is DLC. Like, wait, it's like, how does that?
No, and then the characters that you think would be in the game, they're saved for season 2. So like Combo wasn't in, what they call season 1. He was like he was the first character for season 2. Then the latest one that they've announced is finally Cinder.
I'm like, look, by the time I found out Killer Instinct, well, the series at the time had already came to a close. So, thanks to Chris, he used to mention, combo break, and I asked where that come from. Yeah, a game called Killer Instinct, and then later on, when finally got the laptop and everything, I looked up, okay, Killer Instinct, and I found out about Eternal Champions. I think I remember seeing Chris play Eternal Champions when I was a kid,
I
but
missed that game.
it just like it really like left me. But yeah, so games like Eternal Champions, or Killer Instinct.
But at least they're not going to do a crossover with Clay Fighter.
I remember playing Clay Fighter as a kid. I remember playing that. Man, I'm like, what am I doing here? I mean, don't forget you also have you had Primal Rage.
Yeah, you had Primal Rage. What was another fighting game? And let's not forget about that semi bad like Rocky fighting game.
Wait a minute. You talking about just Rocky?
Yeah, and it was like all the Rocky films and the fights and story mode and stuff all rolled into one.
They made two. They made two Rocky games for the PS2 and Xbox and GameCube. You just had Rocky, and then you had Rocky Legends. Man, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, those games. You're a boxing purist. Yeah, I say stay away from those games. I mean, man, but that about takes. Wait. We got I forgot. J Flow is in the house. Jared Flowers. Yo, hey guys, how's it going? J Flow. How's it going? Wait. Mr. We got Kyle. I'll go get him some ice then. What do you
Serena, I just see a couple of questions.
what are you talking about, Kyle? You talking about Sub-Zero? Yeah, wait, we got also. I should be in Mortal Kombat. I'd be so OP. Kyle, just a reminder. You don't spell combat in Mortal Kombat with a C. It's the hard C sound, so it's like it's spelled with a K. It's MK. It's Mortal Kombat. It's Mortal Kombat. It's that hard C. The hard C sound. Mostly everything in Mortal Kombat that has a hard C sound spelled with a C is they'll change it into a K. Like for instance, the Crypt. It's spelled with a K.
Don't mention the Crypt around me. I'm
not gonna mention what they added to the Crypt in the last game. I wonder if they're gonna keep that in this one. If they keep the Crypt.
They better not keep it. Although this time I'm going to the bathroom if I'm exploring the Crypt.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there you go. Chris was right about Serena. I've played it. Yes. How do you feel about MKX with Mark? If you rage quit. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's interesting about Mortal Kombat X. Yeah, there's something called quitality. Basically, if you quit a fight, yeah, you die. Your head explodes. So it's not like, yeah, you just quit the game and it goes to the next minute. No, you quit the game. There's a scene of your character, head like popping off like a freaking popsicle, and they die. So that's pretty interesting. I think that'll be pretty cool. I always say in Call of Duty, if you camp too long, you just spontaneously combust. You just combust because you camp too long, stayed in one area too long. Got another thing from Serena. Steve, are you a fighting game fan or just MK?
I'm not the biggest fighting game fan, Serena. I enjoy fighting games for what they are, but I've never been the biggest fan of them just because I'm not too good at them. But that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy a good fighting game every once in a while just to tinker around, just to have a little bit of fun. And plus I kind of grew up with Killer Instinct and MK and Primal Rage to a certain extent. Didn't really get to play much Clay Fighter as a kid. So it's I can't. What are you laughing at, Malcolm?
I'm laughing at Kyle's question, but that's doing Mortal Kombat. He said, if they had Jackie Chan in Mortal Kombat, I'd love to hear him yell, "Who am I?" while fighting someone. And that's one of my favorite Jackie Chan movies. Who am I? One of my favorites. Oh, it's that'd be his fatality. He just keeps screaming. It'll be his "Who am I" character. Who am I? Who am I? The person just after I'm tired of this. Kill. They kill themselves. Dun, dun. Jackie Chan wins. No. It says he be "Who am I?" His character, yeah. Who am I? Who am I wins. Fatality. Or it'd be accidentality. Yeah, accidentality. He by accident he caused the person to go suicide. No, one of the dumbest fatalities. There's been some pretty dumb fatalities, but one of those will be taken seriously because some of the dumbest ones gotta be a little bit funny, if not probably played for laugh. One of them will be taken seriously was in Mortal Kombat Deception. I'm not gonna lie. Raiden's second fatality, because in Mortal Kombat Deception they brought back 2 fatalities. One of his fatalities was he would shock you and then have the boat ricochet off the after explode and kill himself. And I'm from thinking that had to be a glitch, right? Or that was supposed to be his harakiri, but they somehow put a glitch where I was. Let me try it again. I'm like, Yo, that's really one of his fate. He kills himself and goes.
And no, but you know what though? At least it's not like albino Dalsim, aka Quan Chi, killing his opponent by stretching out their neck
Oh
like a giraffe.
yeah, Deadly Alliance. Quan Chi's fate. He basically makes you a giraffe. Somehow your neck. Somehow he just doesn't pull your head off. Somehow, yeah, it stretches. And then his first ever fatality in Mortal Kombat 4 was he rips your leg off and beats you to death with your own leg. The humiliation. Quan Chi, people.
Who I really hope dies in this MK.
Yeah, originally Quan Chi finally did get his. Scorpion finally did get him. But now that, because of Mortal Kombat 11, since Deadly Alliance and Deception, things will alter, so that might definitely those are not going to happen anymore. So Shao Kahn.
Or they might happen a different way.
Yeah, things might happen a different way, but now looking at it, it might not because Deadly Alliance there was never, a Cassie Cage or a Jacqueline Briggs or anything. So yeah, it seems like Deadly Alliance and Deception. Yeah, thanks to Mortal Kombat 2011. Yep, those are out the window. Some characters from the game, of course, might come, but not maybe as they did in the original. So maybe is Movado supposed to be in this one?
Don't know.
Well, yeah, because Movado came in Deadly Alliance. At first he supposedly killed Cabal. At least he thought he did. And then when
Movado was in the prequel comic.
oh yeah, you told me he was in the prequel comic. He was in the prequel comic. And Movado had a pretty interesting look with the leather jacket and everything. But and he had the hook switch because he supposedly took them from Cabal and he killed them. And then Cabal came back in Deception and took him back and killed him. And somehow Cabal became a bad guy again. But he became a bad guy. He comes back to become a bad guy, which made no sense. And he joined and he brought back the Black Dragons. But it's good that the Mortal Kombat X, on topic had a lot of even Kyle, had a lot of,
Yeah, we went on probably the longest about that. We need to transition to the.
I still can't believe Kyle with the Tyrese. I still can't believe, man, Kyle makes me think. How do you feel about Tyrese just as a person, man?
No, fair question would be, how does Tyrese feel about Kyle? Probably not a whole lot.
How does Tyrese feel about Kyle? The world may never know.
No, the world pretty much knows. It's just he lumped Kyle in with all the other haters.
Laugh out loud. There's a related video to this hangout called Malcolm at the Crossroads. See you at the crossroads. Crossroads, don't be lonely. See you at the crossroads. The crossroads. The crossroads. See you at the crossroads. Sorry, I had to break out my.
Everybody hurts.
Everybody hurts. I'm sorry, I had to break into my bone. Come on, Chris. Bone Thug and Harmony. Isn't that the group name?
Yeah, Bone Thug.
Bone Thug. I had to break into that, and also had to break in a little REM. Everybody hurts. So yeah, I see a Kyle. You're talking about the Andy Griffith. Yeah, Malcolm at the Crossroads. But well, Kyle, if you want to stay, because I know this is around the part where you sign off, because we are now moving into wrestling. So Kyle, if you're going to stay, but if you're not going to stay, it's good that like always, good that you were part of the show, and it's a good thing you didn't let that troll get to you. You gotta dust that off.
I'm gonna have to go back and find this troll if he didn't get removed.
Yeah, I removed his comments. He was like, shut up. He was like, shut up, you fat man. It's like,
Wait a minute. No. So wait a minute. Let's get into this just a little bit, because now I'm actually kind of curious. He's like, he was calling me a fat man.
Yeah, he was like, shut up. He was like, shut up, you fat man. And then when Kyle put the thing about penis, he was like, oh, that's dumb. You're not even in the same area code. And I'm like, who's this Miguel dude?
At least it's not like Mark.
Oh, yeah, that's another story. So Kyle, yeah, we're heading to wrestling. Yeah, I know maybe you would,
All
maybe you'll,
around the world, same song.
maybe you'll stay to maybe hear something bad about John Cena. But to be quite honest, there's nothing, I don't think John Cena is going to be talked about. He might be when we get to WrestleMania 31. But starting off, the biggest news in wrestling: Brock Lesnar is staying with the WWE for 3 more
Which I feel
years.
sad.
He is staying for 3 more years. How do I feel about this? I thought he was gonna go. I thought that
He should be going.
I thought he was gonna go to UFC. And to be quite honest, I thought he was not gonna make his decision until after WrestleMania. I have to agree with with Nate when he said that, I gotta give props to Brock. He actually got it over with. He did not let the suspense build, make it like dramatic. He just got it over with. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I expect him to wait until after, like make himself feel more special by having Dana White and freaking Vince, really, like really weigh his. I'm like, you gotta come with us. No, he just got it over with, and he's gonna be with WWE for 3 more years. Now, what do I think that means for the championship? Yeah, I don't think that's good for the championship. I think that now that just depleted all chances Reigns had of walking out as champion at Mania. I think now that Brock is staying, I think Brock is going to win. And even before it was official, I was like, there's a part of me that feels that Brock is going to win at Mania. And now more than ever, I feel he's going to win at Mania. Yep. I feel Brock is going to stay with his title. Heck, he might stay with his title, and then Seth might try to cash in, and Brock beats Seth for the defend to retain his title. That might happen. That might just happen. Brock might actually hold this freaking belt for 2 years because he's on a limited schedule. He is still going to be on a limited schedule. So, yeah, Brock staying with WWE for 3 more years. I say that just put the kibosh on a lot of pushes, a lot of potential pushes. I think that really put this kibosh on a lot of them. I really do, because I think WWE is really going to ride, this hype train, this train of Brock Lesnar. I really think so. Okay, Kyle, fine. I'll spell it Kombat with a K then. Yes, Kyle, when in terms of Mortal Kombat, it's spelled with a K.
Frickin' shut up, you fat man.
Really,
kid?
Serena, going back a little bit to Mortal Kombat, did you guys like DC vs. MK? Cause not me. When I finally got to play
Not
it,
my favorite.
yeah, when I finally got to play it, I enjoyed the fighting system, but as an overall game, no, I was not too big of a fan of it. It was kind of a letdown to me because DC was so image conscious. They did a lot of. You want to talk about meddling? DC did a lot of meddling. It almost stripped it away from being a Mortal Kombat game. You can't really even call that a Mortal Kombat game. That's how much they stripped from it. But yeah, that's what that show had to say. I guess when you were talking about Darkest Night. Yeah, shut up, you fat man.
Probably some 12-year-old who thought it was funny to join into the conversation.
I mean,
or maybe Malcolm, just maybe. Just go with me on this. What if that was an old profile made by Ed?
Oh my gosh, Steve. You know what? There maybe could be some. No, maybe not. But see, you almost about to get me.
It's like,
You almost had me almost believe in that too. Man,
No, it's like no, seriously, because think about that though. In just a little bit of a capacity, you can't tell me that that doesn't seem like something that Ed would do.
yeah, Rob. You know, he only really shot at you and Kyle. So yeah, yeah, that kind of makes it a little bit more believable. But I doubt it.
Trust me, I know things.
Yeah, but do you know that Rey Mysterio is considering retirement?
That is something that I don't necessarily believe. I think somebody made that up just to try
No,
to.
no, 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 no. Because when they asked, oh man, I'm forgetting the wrestler's name. I think something Barracuda Jr. So who's close with Ray. He told them that yeah, he's considering retirement because of the fatal incident. And
But
not
I think it's more like Ray's knee, mounting knee problems. Because let's face it, Rey Mysterio has always had knee problems since
yeah,
he's been wrestling.
he always had knee problems, but I don't think he expected. Yeah, I come to AAA and I'm supposed to be with Lucha Underground, and I'm only gonna have 2 matches or so, and then I'm gonna retire. I look if Ray, I find believable this. Pero Jr. was a close friend of Ray's, so I can see that really weighing on Ray. You know, may it be sad that's how his career ends. That yeah, it happens after a fatal accident in the ring. But it's really messed up, and it's also messed up. That that some fans, as if it's true, were sending death threats to Ray. Sad, really sad.
It's always sad to me.
Yeah, it's always sad. Um, just like I'm telling you, it's sad for the championship picture that Brock is staying for 3 more years. And some feel that they might just have Brock break, might hold the belt for 2 years just to break CM Punk's record out of spite.
Yeah, this is getting, I feel, out of hand. With this whole trying to take pot shots at Punk. It's like it's like we get it, but that's also kind of petty on WWE's part.
It is, but then again, one can say, well, one can say that in terms of WWE, yeah, but then one can say maybe it's just a lot of fans still not letting that go and always now trying to always look at things as a shot at Punk every time it seems like something's towards them. Oh, this got to be a shot at Punk. Instead of just thinking maybe this is not. It's just coincidence. Because let's be honest, I bet you people could find and believe for Brock Lesnar to hold the belt for longer than CM Punk. Even though I don't really want Brock to retire long because he barely defends it. Barely defends it, man. He barely defends that belt. But yeah, I'm looking at it as this, like maybe it's just coincidence that Brock will, and because then it's like, so what? If somebody breaks CM Punk's record, and later on, see, that's definitely because of Punk. What if that was the plan? To have that person hold the belt longer than CM Punk, just because that's what they want, not because let's just get Punk out of that spot. Just like how some people they told me that when Randy Orton became the youngest world champion at the time, he felt that was only done just for Brock couldn't be the youngest champion after he left WWE for the NFL. So but be quiet, like I just said, I think Brock now staying with WWE for 3 more years. I really think that nobody's safe. I think that kind of does more harm for other people than good.
And somebody was saying it's like somebody was talking about the ladder match, and it's like, why is Bryan in a ladder match for the IC title?
Yeah, you know, that,
And the funny part is, you would think it was, fans are still butthurt because, they want to see him win the titles again. No, people are genuinely concerned for his health because they're like, the guy just came back from neck surgery. He almost had his career ended, and he's in a ladder match now.
yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, look, you know, the position Bryan's in right now is a real questionable position. Yeah, if you want to look at it, if you want to look at it health-wise, yeah, a ladder match, yeah, yeah. But then it's like, you can look at it, how does he go from basically being evolution in one night to the Intercontinental Championship? I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, and at first they teased as though they teased whether as if it was like Bryan might be in the match or he might not be in the match. And further,
I know one person who's very shocked to see somebody in a match, and that's our good buddy, Ben, seeing, his favorite wrestler, R-Truth, actually be put in that match.
no, yeah, R-Truth is not going to be. If R-Truth was going to be in a match at Mania, he was more than likely going to be in the Andre John Battle Royal. No, he's actually in a match where, yeah, he's not just thrown. Like he's just one of the people in there. No, he's in a pretty big match.
And he's actually become an integral part of that match.
Yeah,
in terms of the build-up.
Right. I feel after it's over, he might just go back to being just where he was before the build-up started.
The enhancement talent.
Yeah, but recent news for WrestleMania 31, since I brought up the Andre John Battle Royal, that has now been bumped up to the kickoff show. So the kickoff show is going to have 2 matches. Originally, it was just only supposed to be the tag team champion, which I figured was going to be on the kickoff. I'm like, figured. But now the Andre the Giant Battle Royal match is going to be on the kickoff show as well. And I remember some of the wrestling acts was like, they feel that diminishes, and that's kind of disrespecting the legacy of Andre the Giant. And while that's maybe so, but at the same time, look, me personally, because the Andre John Battle Royal, judging from what happened with Cesaro, doesn't look like there's really no consequences of winning that match. It could be on the kickoff show because it's like no real reward except for a trophy. It's not like the King of the Ring where, yeah, you win and then you maybe get a title match or something. Why? Yeah, it's like you're gonna have something dedicated to Andre John.
Plus, I think WWE, when they did that for Cesaro, they really dropped the ball with enhancing him.
Yeah, they did. I think they did drop the ball with Cesaro because even before the Battle Royal, Cesaro was riding high with momentum. At the start of 2014, a lot of people was like, you can easily say, wait a minute, they might actually do something. This might be Cesaro's year. He might have like a real good 2014.
But then for some odd reason, they just didn't want to push Cesaro for whatever reason. Yeah. And some people say that it was just because WWE felt that while he was a good, and talented wrestler, they felt he wasn't over enough with the fans to really, be pushed.
Yeah, because Vince, when Stone Cold asked him about Cesaro in the podcast, then he doesn't connect with the fans. I'm thinking, if they pop for him every time he came out and with the giant swing, what do you mean he doesn't connect with the fans? Like, what do you mean he doesn't connect if they are actually responding to him? I mean, so look, like in terms of the Battle Royal, yeah, because it's dedicated to Andre, yeah, it does seem like a little bit, right? You dedicate something to the Andre Giant only to have it on the kickoff show. But because I think there's no real consequences of a win or a loss, yeah, and to be quiet, I think it opens up more time for those actual crucial matches like Sting and Triple H, You know, Taker and Bray. You know, Cena and Rusev. You know, the ladder match. You know, Reigns and Brock, which I'm still like really leery about. That
People
maybe
are saying that Bray and Undertaker's match might be the last match of the night.
Hey, look, I remember when Nate asked in the Brennan Bros wrestling chat room, like, if anybody, would you blame somebody for thinking that either Bray or Taker, Bray versus Taker, Sting versus Triple H, or even Cena versus Rusev, and even Rollins versus Orton is the main event instead of Lesnar and Reigns. I told him, no, I could not blame anybody for maybe thinking either of those matches will be the main event, will be the last match. Because those things have received more focus on Raw than Reigns and Lesnar.
And don't forget, that really humorous tug of war that they had in the Go Home Raw.
That had to be one of the worst endings to a WrestleMania Go Home.
No, because because literally when they were facing off with each other, all I kept thinking about was, man, this is like a bad throwback to when you had Warrior and Hogan clash, like just a stare down.
You know,
And then holding both the IC title and the heavyweight championship.
it's like that's how you end it. You know, we barely got any confrontation with these guys besides when they had to face off the night after the Rumble. And you don't give a little bit of physical. I understand saving the physicality to make people want to pay. You know, they maybe already paid for it because they're going to watch on the network, pay to see, these two finally clash. But give a little something, a little pull-apart brawl. I thought at least Reigns was going to at least deck Heyman for, all the time Heyman running his mouth. But nope, we just get...
or at least, like him suplex Reigns and Reigns pops back up and spears Lesnar, or at least something.
Yeah, because we know Reigns has shown his case of no-selling, like when he no-sold that chair shot from Bryan. I'll
never forget Conan O'Brien when he was interviewing Reigns. Speaking of which, he's talking about WrestleMania, and people were saying, it's like, man, why can't they not like script Reigns' promos and stuff? Because he was freaking hilarious on Conan. He was talking about like how they're all baby oiled up, and he was talking about how when the Shield was facing off, at WrestleMania. He went to grab Sheamus, and he said Sheamus almost slipped right off of him. And then he was also talking, and then pretty much Conan basically told him, he goes, you're a very scary man. He goes, you let out this guttural animalistic roar, and then you like spear a guy. He goes, and you didn't just spear him. He goes, you launch yourself at him.
Still to this day, one of the best spears he did was that one on Big Show. Yeah, when he really lunged himself.
And it's funny because he admitted, that he always, played football. He said, I was always a very physical guy growing up. He goes, and every time that we played football, he goes, I was always the one that everybody wanted to actually pick on their team. He goes, because he knew, he said, because, he goes, I have no fear. He goes, I've been playing football for so many years, whether it's, varsity to eventually a smidgen of time in the NFL. He goes, I go for it. He goes, it's not a thing to me. He goes, I'm Samoan. He goes, and if you know anything about us Samoans, you know that my spear, boom, it's my head hitting you in the gut. He goes, and I'm probably gonna break your ribs more than I will breaking my skull.
We got Serena. Look, I don't care for Brock, and I still don't, but I understand the monster here. Yes, Serena, we know that. Yeah, you're one. You really do not like Bork Laser, nor do you like.
Yeah, Porky Pig on steroids, as I call him.
Nor do you like Kevin Owens, and nor do you like Bray Wyatt. Well, there's a reason for why you don't like Bray Wyatt and Kevin Owens, because they remind you of that jerk. But I always said Kevin Owens is basically one of the people I always said would be Steve if Steve was a wrestler.
Yeah, Kevin Owens is the real guy that I would be if I was wrestling, not Bull Dempsey.
Yeah, who's whose momentum has really come to a real screeching halt. Like, yeah.
It's funny because I had a coworker actually, he was watching NXT on his phone, and I heard Bull Dempsey come on, and I just shook my head, and I was like, Bull Dempsey, and the guy's like, what, you don't like Bull Dempsey? And when I told him why, and he honest to God looked at me and he goes, man, what are your friends smoking? He goes, he goes, even if you were a wrestler, he goes, I could not picture you as Bull Dempsey. He goes, now Kevin Owens, I could. And then another guy's like, actually no, Bull fits Steve perfectly. And I was like, you want to get thrown out this break room?
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, man.
It's like, trust me, it'll be time. It'll be Steve-O time.
Serena says that I think Ray should retire. His legacy is set. Yeah, Ray could retire today and be remembered forever. Yeah, that's the type of career he's had. But as for WrestleMania 31, look, do I have the biggest anticipation for it? No. But, I do hope that it is a good event. I do trust that Sting and Triple H, both being veterans of the game, put on something pretty cool. I still have concerns for Taker, just for his health. I don't want the same thing. I don't want him to suffer injury like he did at last year, with Bray.
Yeah, but also don't forget that interview that he had when he was talking about that.
Wait, which interview?
For Taker, remember when he was making fun of the Smarks and everybody, that interview that was on Wrestling Fanatics, I think?
Oh, yeah, that was a pretty good little interview he had. That was funny.
I love the fact that at the end he's like, yeah, Undertaker should retire 10 years ago. He goes, those people need to realize that they're just simply that. They're fans. I was like, I love the fact that he called out the people that said they should have retired years ago.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like, with Hogan, Hogan needs to stop trying to make, like little hints that, yeah, I want to wrestle. It's got, like, Hogan. Just
I thought he would have had a match, with Curtis Axel, over Axelmania.
I don't think Hogan's body could take another leg drop. I really don't.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't care what anybody says. I have to admit, this Axelmania thing that Curtis has actually has kind of revitalized, his character a little bit, because it's freaking over the top.
Who knew it would take something like this for him to really show personality? Who knew? I mean,
and I especially love when he tried to fight Snoop Dogg. That was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
But then he got Hogan, and you would know better than anybody, Snoop. And I'm like, oh my God, Hogan. It's like, what is this guy smoking, brother?
That was a good line from Hogan. I mean, it's like, look, Snoop Dogg, he's made it publicly clear when at the time that, yeah, he smoked. He's smoking that weed and stuff. So, I think at one point he said.
No, but remember when Snoop Dogg threw Curtis Axel over the rope just the way that he did it?
Yeah, at first I thought he was gonna do something else, like actually try to do like a move, and then like, oh, he just threw him over the top.
No, and I'm looking at this, I'm like, man, why does Snoop look like he's like not eating?
That's how Snoop Dogg looks. He's always been skinny. That's why he normally see
he looks anorexic, and it was like frightening.
When you see Snoop Dogg, normally, what do you know about when you see Snoop Dogg? He's most time wearing clothes that are like all puffed out. So it makes himself look a little bit bigger, but no, he's really thin. Like everybody really saw that in the movie Baby Boy. That's when everybody really saw it. Oh shoot, like this guy is really thin.
And it was really creepy when they had like Wise, Khalifa on there.
Khalifa, no, everybody was already putting it on WrestleMania. Yo, that guy gotta be, he's gotta be anorexic or something.
I looked at that dude and I was like, oh my god, it's Lil Wayne's cousin.
You know,
His
somebody had a
face and body looked like it fell in a bowl of accidents.
somebody had a picture of Little Wayne, in a white hoodie, and then right beside it was a picture of, when E.T. was all robed up. I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm thinking, I know Steve would see that and be like, you see, I told you. Like, oh my God. Hey, we got Kyle. I stuck around for a bit longer. I think my comments towards Gibson were taken way out of context, though. I have no problem with Gibson as a person. I was just saying and making an assumption that he probably just wants the role for the money, especially since this sudden love for wanting to play Jon Stewart has come pretty much out of nowhere. And I believe it was around a good month or two before Fast and the Furious 7 came out today. Like I said, just an assumption. Wasn't saying he was like that. He must have read my comment wrong or something, because when I was typing, I know I wasn't being mean to the guy. Oh, you don't have to read this out loud since you guys are talking about wrestling. We'll see my feel. Like I said, I have no malicious towards. Well, I just read it out loud, Kyle. I mean, and look, maybe we did, but look, when I read, I think Gibson just wants to be, just because franchise is probably over. At least that's what I'm assuming after the seventh one since Parker died. He probably just wants money from me. See, when I just see that, and I doubt there's any passion behind it wanting to roll, and I just see that, I'm like, I said, man, that makes it seem like this guy trying to say, he's greedy. It's like Tyrese. He's just doing it he just probably wants the money.
Oh, Tyrese. I'm thinking he's becoming a little desperate.
Yeah, or that too. Or he's become desperate.
It's like he constantly is like, yeah, he's doing, what's the name? Isaiah Mustafa, who wanted to be Luke Cage. He kept going to Marvel. Can I be Luke Cage? Can I be Luke Cage? Look at my body. Yeah. Look at this cut I did.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm thinking with that Little Wayne.
Oh,
yo, it's just, Steve always said Lil Wayne looked like a bowl of accidents.
Hey, the funny part is the funny part is that I'm not even the one who came up with that. Lil Wayne's face looked like it fell in a bowl of accidents. That was actually Tony Roberts that said that during his, what was it, Out of Control special or whatever, Unwrapped.
Oh, man.
He was like, you ever seen Lil Wayne? Face look like, face all fucked up. Look like he dunked his face in a bowl of accidents.
Oh, my God. Well, I mean, look. Moving on to the final. Man, I wonder where Nathan went. Nathan just, yeah, man. I wonder where Nathan went. Moving to the final topic. Favorite WrestleMania matches. Hopefully, this year, one of the matches this year will become a favorite of ours. Hopefully Sting and Triple H, we can remember back and say, oh man, that was one of my favorites. I mean, look, Triple H and Bryan, that was a great opening match. But for me, I guess I just give 5 in no particular. 5 favorite WrestleMania match for me. Without that, I can just watch. I put on repeat. Of course, Stone Cold versus The Rock, WrestleMania 17. I mean, the whole atmosphere, just the atmosphere of that match. I remember watching that on pay-per-view. The atmosphere, the drama, the suspense, the story it told was off the page. Number 2, Triple H, HBK, Chris Benoit. that match. Remember, we were watching. I was like, man, I'm gonna remember that match. And and still to this day, the image of Benoit and Eddie Guerrero both holding their respective world championships with the confetti, tears in both of their eyes, hugging each other. It's still an iconic moment and memory till this day. Um, Also, going a little bit farther back, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 7. When I look back, when I finally watched it and I saw Sergeant Slaughter and Hogan, I was like, why wasn't Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage was in the freaking main event? That retirement match told such a damn good story. So I said the triple threat match: Stone Cold versus The Rock, Ultimate Warrior, and Macho Man. For once again, I'm just naming some stuff. I got a lot of favorite matches. For Shawn Michaels, Vince McMahon, WrestleMania 22. Man, and Chris, you know that match. You want to hear one of JR's best commentary. Man, watch that match. But for a period, JR was off commentary, and he came back for that match, or that WrestleMania period. And man, you had like when Shawn hit him with the chair, once you hit him over the head with it, and shove it up his ass. Like, I like, no, it's oh man, trying to remember some other. Oh, hit him again, Shawn, harder, and right in the heart, and I swear to God, it's black. It's like JR was killing it. He was killing it, and this man damn near got killed. And number 5, our favorite match of mine, and till this day, it's probably the best, not just in ring action, but terms in crowd reaction, women's match in WrestleMania history. Mickie James versus Trish, WrestleMania 22. And if there was not a botch at the ending, that match would have been a perfect 10 out of 10. So those are some 5 favorite WrestleMania matches I just named off the top of my head. What about you, Steve?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would say in terms of top 5 WrestleMania matches that I love, and one of them I have to admit is a cop out, but of course, Steamboat and Savage for the IC title, WrestleMania 3. That's still that there's a reason that is considered one of the greatest matches in the century, and rightfully so. That match told a great story. It had great intensity. Both Savage and Steamboat were on their game for that match. That it told a better story even than Hulk and Andre did.
Yeah, it did. And the surprising thing about Steamboat and Savage is that, because at the time that's how Macho Man liked to work, that match was heavily scripted. I mean, so Steamboat and Savage, because at the time, I think it's like Steamboat told Jericho that, yeah, Savage laid that match out move for move. So they had to remember all of that, and they did. It's just crazy. It wasn't really no improvisation as most matches they say go. No, that was Savage laid that match out move for move for move for move, counter for counter for counter, and they remembered all of that and put on one of the best matches in WrestleMania history.
I would say second match for me in terms of WrestleMania. You know, 'cause it's kind of difficult to really actually know that. Like, I would say, even though it wasn't like the best of matches, I still got to put it in, this top five because it was an iconic moment. But I believe it was WrestleMania 18, wasn't it, or was it 16, when you had The Rock and Hogan?
Well, WrestleMania 18.
Yeah, WrestleMania 18, Hulk and The Rock, wrestling's present versus wrestling's past. It's like that's, and when that match happened, I actually got to see that at, a sports bar and grill, pay-per-view, everything like that, and I, I think that match, even though it wasn't like Hulk's best match, it wasn't Rock's best match, it wasn't, the best match, period. I think it was just the atmosphere of that match is what really is what's really captivating. And I think for me it's a little bit personal because it's like I always have been a big Hulkamaniac, and I always have been, a big fan of, Dwayne Johnson. So it was kind of great to at least see these two, like, even if it was just, that once, that magical moment of seeing two wrestlers, that I actually liked, go head to head. It was a fantasy match. It was a fantasy match, Malcolm, come to life. And and like I said, it wasn't the worst match. It did have a couple of, like, botches and mess ups, but the overall atmosphere of that match, was intense. Half the crowd was for The Rock, half of the crowd was for Hulk, and I think there was even at one point when The Rock was getting an upper advantage, the entire Toronto crowd actually started booing him.
Yeah, the
They
crowd
wanted Hulk to win.
the crowd turned on The Rock. Right, that's how I was spun. They turned on The Rock, and basically Rock and Hogan, as they both said, they improvised. They basically turned on a dime. You notice The Rock started doing a little bit of heelish things, like when he was whipping Hogan with the belt. Hogan whipped him with the belt still, but yeah, they kind of improvised a little bit to kind of cater towards that. And to this day, Hogan still says he did not expect that reaction from the crowd, for that match. As he feels that, he didn't know that there was that many, Canadian Hulkamanias out there, and he maybe feels that, Hulkamaniacs. And he feels that, I think, because they had not seen him since, WrestleMania 6, and maybe brought back.
And not only that, but his time in WCW, and also the fact that he was playing a heel character. It's like, I think also it's the fact that Hogan, and I don't mean for it to sound disrespectful, but let's be honest, a lot of kids during that era, half of them barely even knew who Hulk Hogan probably was. So it was kind of like, a culture shock moment that, in a sense, you had, quote unquote, a second coming of Hulkamania.
I mean, I can kind of attest to that, because when I first saw Hulk Hogan, he was already in WCW. He was already in WCW, and I first saw him. When I really first saw Hulk Hogan was, in the WCW versus NW Revenge game, and I first saw him as Hollywood Hogan, and I always thought he was just part of WCW. And then, oh wait, he was in WWE too, and I didn't really get the big deal. Like, Hulk Hogan's a big deal until when he came back to WWE, and I'm like, well, this guy's Hulk Hogan's a really big thing. So yeah, I bet you, yeah, it was like, okay, a culture shock, but in terms of that Toronto crowd, yeah, that Toronto crowd was pro Hogan. They knew who he was, and they wanted him to win badly. And at the end of the day, that match was supposed to be Hogan and Austin. With respect to The Rock, that's what that match was supposed to be. Even Austin said that's what it should have been. He needed that match. I think even though Hogan got the Rock, either one of them, Hogan needed that match. He was coming back. He had to face either Rock or Austin. He got Rock. and he never beat Brock either. Well, in a singles match, he never beat him. So yeah,
but I mean, and I mean, there were so many. There's always, a lot of, I think, great, moments like that. Like, even if it's not a match itself, it's the moments, that are just as equally great. I would say, and I feel really bad because even though both of them were essentially kind of the same match, I would kind of say, it's a cross split between either which one of, Shawn and Taker's matches, at back-to-back WrestleManias. It's like those, hands down, those, Malcolm, are matches that will forever be immortalized and will forever be talked about, because the things that Taker and Shawn did in those back-to-back matches, it wasn't just the same humdrum stuff. It's like, no, this was the kind of those were the kind of matches that they had you out of your seat.
yeah. I mean, personally, and this goes, and I've heard this a lot personally. In terms of those back-to-back matches, they had WrestleMania 25, WrestleMania 26. I think I was more out of my seat for the first match than the second. I was into the second match as well, but I've always felt that the first match, there's something about that first match that made that more of my favorite than the second match. But yeah, but those matches, Taker and Shawn, especially WrestleMania 25, which was probably the best match. Which was probably the best match of that. No. It's not even arguable. It was the best match of that WrestleMania. I always said WrestleMania 25 should have been, and I'm checking around, WrestleMania 25 should have been, look on the card. On paper, it should have been one of the best WrestleManias. Because the card was not bad. But a lot of time constraints, because some matches did not get a lot of time, and some things were pretty bad, like for instance, the Randy Orton and Triple H, that was not really the best match with all that built up to it. So yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. The WrestleMania matches Taker and Shawn had, because that was the first time they ever had a WrestleMania match, so it was special. We got Serena got 5 of her own. Shawn versus Reigns WrestleMania 10, yes, the ladder match. Bret versus Owen WrestleMania 10, yes. Taker versus Kane WrestleMania 13. After Serena was WrestleMania 14, and yes, till this day, Taker versus Kane WrestleMania 14 is probably one of my favorite big man matches. Along with Diesel and Taker at WrestleMania 12. Serena also for number 4, Mickey versus Triple WrestleMania 22, and 5, Jericho versus Shawn WrestleMania 19. Oh yes, Shawn versus Jericho WrestleMania 19. I love Shawn Michaels versus Jericho, period. So when they finally had their real feud in 2008, which still arguably, I say, is arguably the best feud since the PG era started. Probably one of the best feuds of the PG era started. That was like one of the first real feuds of the PG era, and it was not really PG at all. Rebecca getting punched and everything. So yeah, those are good. I don't know if those are your real top 5s. Like if you made a top 10 list, those would be your top 5. But granted, that's not a bad 5. You just named off the top of your head. That's not bad. Because Shawn versus Razor, I think, is on everybody's list.
I would say to me, like, on one hand,
right? Until this day, since Mickey and if you count Melina and Ashley, but since those 2 matches, there has yet to be just a one-on-one match with the women. It's always a lumberjill match, or a battle royal, or some tag team match where all the women, even if they never did anything, are in the match. You know, this year we're having, you know, the frenemies versus the Bellas. I thought it was at least going to be Paige versus AJ versus Nikki for the belt, but still, you know, for like the let me see, 2010, 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. No, wait, no, because AJ did defend her title. I also made it last year. But once again, it was in a battle royal. But still, for almost 7 consecutive years, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. No, for 8 years, we are still yet to have an real, authentic, like a one-on-one women's match at WrestleMania for the title. So, we're about to wrap this up. So, Samir actually has one more question. You know, it has nothing to do with Red, but it was about the Jubilee. I think it was about the Jubilee casting. Thoughts on the Jubilee casting? At least Jubilee's gonna be Asian. You know, I don't know too much of the actress, but you know, she looks like she can be Jubilee. Now that I don't know, that means the portrayal of her as Jubilee would be good, but hey, you know, at least Jubilee's gonna be her actual race. You know, she's gonna be. Is she Japanese? The actress.
Jubilee is Chinese.
No. Okay. Oh, so what's the actress? She's Chinese.
I think she's Chinese.
Well, but still, at least she's gonna be
She's
Asian.
Asian though. That's the most important.
So, Steve, any other match you want to mention?
Yeah, I was trying to mention it, and then he kept like going on and on. No,
What the hell?
I must have been
Steve
sitting.
Is mute.
What?
Like, what the hell? They just muted Steve.
I'm not
You
mute.
know what? I think I'm gonna take it from here. Since
I'm not
Google
mute.
Plus wants to mute Steve for some dumb reason, I think this is the best, because we're about to end the show anyway. I think it would be best to end it because or at least Steve's dumb computer. Oh, I'm not mute. Well, for some reason, Steve, when you spoke, I can't hear you.
Well, I can speak perfectly fine. I can see the registry actually.
See, I can see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you. Let me see if anybody. Oh, wait a minute.
Can anybody actually hear me? Because it's registering that I'm speaking.
No, we're still. No, we're still live. We're still live. Oh, I'm not. Well, for some reason, Steve. Because I'm not even look on the playback.
Well, I can speak perfectly fine. I can see the registry actually.
I can see your mouth. Okay, see on the playback, I can hear you, but for some odd reason, I can't hear you.
I'm actually speaking. See, that's weird that now in the G Plus thing, it's not letting me actually speak. But yet on playback, apparently, no, I can actually be.
This is
I can
really
actually
weird.
Be heard.
How can I hear Steve through the playback via YouTube, but I can't hear him through the actual Google Hangout page anymore?
That's messed up.
This is the dumbest thing ever. This is the dumbest thing ever. Like, this just came out of nowhere. It's like a Vince Russo swerve. It just comes out of nowhere and didn't make any sense.
Vince Russo swerve either.
What in the hell is this?
Oh, well, I guess I won't get to list my favorite matches and stuff.
Man, y'all look. I think it's just best to end this thing because I can hear Steve through YouTube, and that's like seconds, like seconds in the past, but I can't hear him in the present. It doesn't make any sense. It
Steveception.
So I think it'd be best to call it a night. You know, this was the Stephen Malcolm Show, episode 8. I'm glad for all those of you that joined it, except for that troll. Right? You know, maybe the troll has something to do with this. You know, maybe he does. You know, because he did tell Steve to shut up. So maybe that troll.
Yeah, that apparently I'm a fat man.
You know, I don't know. But for those of you that are going to watch WrestleMania, I hope you enjoy it, as I hope that me and Steve can enjoy it. And Kyle, I hope that you have a wonderful day with cookies, and Serena, you know, you stay being the princess of geeks, and Nathan, you stay on your insider stuff. But please, don't give anything that is really spoiler material. You know, we already had Sid on the wrestling chat. Nathan, you gotta stop with the spoilers. You know, you gotta stop. You don't want that reputation. See, and Steve just said something, but you're only going to pick it up on the playback. This is
Jesus, he needs to quit with all that dirt sheet crap.
This is so dumb that it's an insult to dumb things.
That's why we need to go find trees and tell dumb people to apologize for smoking oxygen. Steve's
mouth stops moving for I can end this thing, because I don't want to sound like he's talking there. I just cut it off. So for
you're gonna do it anyway.
He's about to say something. Steve, don't say anything. I don't want to cut this thing off with you talking, because make it seem rude. So for Steve, this is Malcolm, and I say, stay easy, guys. Stop. Don't say anything. See you guys.